Let's go.
3, 2, 1. Start streaming.
Oh, there it
Event
is.
is starting, and we're live. Welcome to the RWBY.
Are we?
Yeah, it's essentially. It's always like a few seconds behind on YouTube. It's like 30 seconds
Okay.
behind on YouTube. So
Pay
in 30
attention
seconds,
to the people behind the curtain.
yeah, we will be paying it. You guys will be able to see us in like 30 seconds.
I
Even
muted
though
it, but
even though
I
you're
want to.
listening to us.
I
now.
want to read the questions.
What's
Okay.
what's happening here is happening 30 seconds from now.
So
Yeah.
we are talking to you
What's
from the
happening now? It's
future.
happening now. We're in now. When
We're-
will then be now?
Pay no attention to the chat room
Right
behind the
now.
curtain behind media.
Yeah.
Why-
God, that
why-
movie is so fucking good. Can we talk about Spaceballs instead of this volume's
we
episode?
can always do a
Because
podcast
that
on
was
Spaceballs.
fantastic.
we just go through all the Mel Brooks parody movies.
Oh my God, yes.
That would be fun
please.
because he was
I'd-
really
I'd-
good at
I'd
Oh,
have
those.
to-
yeah.
I'd have to rewatch the producers.
No. Here's the best part about those. Like, if you watch the director's commentary, the most controversial part of Blazing Saddles for that whole movie, and is whatever around the campfire. Everyone's sitting there farting around the campfire, and that was they were worried was like the absolute most controversial part of the movie.
Really?
So and they showed
Because it was the first time anyone had ever passed gas on camera, yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
and
And
so
nobody
they had
cared.
they had an edit of it where like there was no farting sounds, and it was just like people were just like, sitting up and sitting down at like random intervals. It looks really weird. It was great, but so now since we're super off topic, since we're live, I think introduction.
Like
I-
all our
I am
podcasts. Just saying.
I am the man of tomorrow, Mediocrity 4.
It's me, high powered, off of work until tomorrow morning, and I'm gonna get really drunk. Well, I'm not gonna get super drunk, but I'm gonna get pretty lit. AF. That's what these the youth say nowadays. And this episode was safe. That's my definition of this episode. Is that this was safe and not in a good way. Safe.
I am the man who had to open his best bottle of wine, a Grand Cru class Bordeaux bottle of wine.
Hey,
not in
don't say-
celebration, mind you, to mask the pain that was this volume. I am dude, what the heck?
I got a question. How much did that bottle actually cost?
As like $30 or something like that. It's
One
pretty
of
good.
my favorite bottles of wine, the big bottle, and it's only like $10, and I'm like, this is my favorite.
But see, it's almost always white wine. I don't like white. I always have to have red, pretty much.
It really depends. Like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It really.
I'm
Depends.
not actually like a wine snob. I don't really know that much about it. Okay, I'm just this one's.
I'm fine with like alcoholic cream soda. So I have no next to no knowledge.
My problem with
Ooh.
alcoholic cream soda is just the sugar content in those things is
nuts.
astronomical.
It's
You have
nuts.
the absolute worst hangovers with those.
I actually
I
did
just-
have one, but
I drink regular cream sodas. I can't drink alcoholic cream soda.
and I'm drinking coffee to stay awake because I'm dead inside. I'm Sakugard.
Oh no!
Oh man.
And just who the hell do you think I am? Well, I'll tell you who I am. I'm Robert.
Robert who?
Just Robert.
Just
Tides
Robert.
of Glory.
Yeah.
Robert.
There you
Not
go.
Tides of Glory. I've heard about him.
He's a genius. He is extremely intelligent.
He is
You should
also
all
a narcissist.
watch those videos if you want to hear me not be pissed all the time.
They're great. Talked about Dragon Maid in the last one. That
Oh,
show
God.
is fucking amazing.
David Holmes in the chat is Adams is Shadow the Hedgehog, except even worse. And I'm like, you're right. It's true.
Chaos Control.
Adam the Edgehog. Yeah.
Shadow the Hedgehog.
That's pretty good. Unfortunately, Devin Holmes is completely correct about that.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's been turned into.
Talking about a character that has been murdered, that's the character that's actually been murdered the most out of this entire series is Adam's
Oh
character.
yeah.
By the
Oh
way-
yeah.
So,
By the way, this
Uh,
is the most people I've had in the chat this early on in the stream ever.
I was gonna say,
Fuck
how many,
yeah,
how
what's
many
up?
people were at
Now some of those are us
27.
because I'm that. Some of those are us because I'm watching it
Yeah.
so I can read chat.
Well,
but
I
whatever.
I have the like stream manager on the screen over here. Then I'm keeping up with the chat on my phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I
My
actually
phone's
recognize
cool.
people in the chat. Like I see Secure, I see Kirishima, obviously, Ballsy.
Yeah.
Ruby
Kill. I
Sakurai.
see Free Kill in there. I see you.
Oh, I see
Oh, free kill. Wait, free kill's me.
I thought Saklukar's in the chat too. I know that guy.
Free kill's me.
Don't talk to him. Ban him.
Those are my old Counter-Strike days.
Ban the Saklukun.
But let's get on to what this episode. So it's like if y'all want to hammer us with questions, once we get done with the introductions, and if you want to derail dudes soapboxes, just start throwing questions at us.
I'm gonna try to get through it as quickly as possible. Again, we can do no interruptions. I promise I'll get through it quickly. I'll just read the list off.
Yeah,
So,
and I'll be I will be
moderating.
I will be monitoring chat while they go on their rants. Just so you know.
So
I will be too.
So
Okay.
Basically, the episode starts where the last one ends. The White Fang is getting mopped up, as we figured. A very short and brief fight happens between Blake, Adam, and Sun, which should have happened last episode and should have been like 2 minutes longer in an actual fight.
It was not the threesome that everybody was hoping for.
No, it wasn't.
Yep.
It then also, while this fight's going on too, the coolest fight in the volume is actually happening in the background, but we don't get to see it. And all the bad guys are freaking out about the Lancer Queen as they're trying to find different ways to kill it. And was it who's the one that breaks it again? Was it
Hazel?
It was Hazel that breaks it.
Yeah.
Hazel breaks it. And
they're saying that he's recharging his semblance, but
his aura faster than it can drain.
Yeah, his aura faster than it can drain. Is that something to do with his semblance? His not being able to feel pain?
Is it just like
is Jean's semblance now completely pointless?
Does Hazel stop at the health food store and just buys the big industrial sized weight gainers, and he just eats the whole weight gainer so he has all the calories to fuel recharging his semblance?
Is the dust recharging his aura? What the hell's going on? So yeah.
You gotta eat like
I think this is the first time aura recharging has actually been brought up in the entire series. Chat,
well, we assume that it recharges, but we assume that it's one of those things that you sleep it off and it recharges while you're sleeping or something like that. Yeah, like with exercise, it's like a muscle that you exercise and stuff like that, and then it, needs to recover and stuff. But like any other kind of fatigue, but yeah, it's like, but it apparently can recharge in battle really fast. I
don't know. I'm just I don't know about super fast, but at least a moments of, if you get a moment's rest, I'm getting Halo vibes from it. I took a massive amount of damage and you would back off for a little bit before actually take.
Yeah, like Call of Duty, but it's, Halo. I don't know. That's a question.
It definitely isn't like Tarkov. Whenever you're chugging painkillers, drinking water so you don't die from shock, and then busting open your IFAK to keep yourself from bleeding out to death.
How I want to go.
So the next bit is Yang and Raven's talk, which
I actually like that part.
I actually, that talk is.
I was gonna say, Robert and I, as usual, are still the negative voices here. We still had some problems with that.
I thought it was okay, but there were things about it that
there's still some issues. There's still some issues.
It's a glimmer
namely that Raven's character is officially completely dead, and all of her potential is completely wasted, as with so many other characters in the show.
Yeah, Raven's
there's potential for a turn.
Raven's character has been
be this antagonistic force, but she'll be more empathizable. Is that a word? Is it a word?
Empathetic?
No.
Yeah, OC Maniac and I had a conversation about Raven's actions, and then there's a few other people. So there's another person on the Discord. His name escapes. I think he's Deathrock something.
Yeah, Deathrock the Unmaker.
Yeah, Deathrock the Unmaker basically says, "Oh, Raven's just the exact opposite of what Pyrrha is," and that's instead of how Pyrrha just jumps headlong into Destiny, Raven just 360 no scopes away from Destiny. So, Raven's character feels like she's been pretty much reset back down to zero because, as it is in the teaser, she runs back to basically the only place she has to run back to, which is her estranged husband. And even even Ty is like, man, she's a good lay though, but I don't want to deal with all this bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm feeling too. Is that I almost feel like it kind of seems like they're, I don't know. On the one hand, it seems like maybe they're acknowledging the fact that she's full of shit, but at the same time, they're the ones who wrote her full of shit.
Yeah, that's the
and
problem.
it almost feels like it's them kind of like with the whole Ozpin on Chibi thing, where it's all like acknowledging that you fucked up doesn't change the fact that you fucked up.
Yeah, it's so
Is
okay.
this the pot
That's
calling
called
the kettle black
lampshading.
sort of moment?
That's
we're
So
called
it's
going on
called
right
lamp
now?
shading, right? It's lamp shading, right?
Yeah, lampshading is the word. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
can
they're hanging a lampshade on their own bullshit. Is almost what it feels like.
can I call everybody's attention back to the one of the best scenes from Volume 4, which I think all of us here are in agreement, because we're all right, that Volume 4 was the best volume of RWBY. So, do you remember the scene with Crow and Raven in that episode? In the bar? See, that was great, because we knew that Raven wasn't quite a good guy, but we knew that she wasn't quite a bad guy.
Yeah. There
But
were
by
hints
the
that
end
she
of-
was conflicted with some of the things that she had to do to survive.
But in this volume, they made her just a complete and utter coward. So she doesn't have any of that gray area anymore. She doesn't have that Zuko, like, I thought it was like commitment to her tribe or some shit like that, which you could understand some sort of value in that, but...
Or like Lee from Avatar The Last Airbender is a really good example.
Yeah, so, and then they said they didn't do that. They just said, well, fuck it. She's just kind of a cowardly bad guy.
Is she abandoning her tribe too also at this point?
Basically, yes.
Yeah, going back home to Tai Yang. Yeah, did she just ditch her entire tribe?
So all the tribe stuff she said was fucking bullshit.
I don't want to think that that's what she did.
Yeah.
Like, you think they're gonna come with her or something like that? They're gonna open up a boarding home for her tribe or something?
Give the show a benefit of a doubt.
I can't anymore.
Like,
I won't give the show the benefit of the doubt anymore.
Jesus
I'm
Christ,
trying
already
to,
done with it.
but that's why I've got an entire list of things that they need to fix. I have a thing that I'm going to talk about of how they can fix this next volume, and I want to believe that they'll do
so.
They even made Weiss look fucking stupid in this episode. Weiss has been the only decent character for the past, and the best character for the past 2 volumes, and the only one that wasn't completely insufferable this volume that actually did anything, and they managed to make her look like a fucking retard in this episode.
God damn it, Floof.
So, can I
just saw this thing in the chat.
let's
You were done at the Stockubus.
I was gonna say,
Flufart has just said that Raven is abandoning them.
Pretty much, yeah.
I bow to the greatness of that comment.
Good to have you in the chat.
Yeah, that was worth it.
Okay, so this is why I actually like this scene.
Okay.
Anne Hallam, for the first time all volume, sounds like an actual human being.
She sounded okay. That's true. That's fair.
Sounds like a concerned mom.
Yeah. And I did like Yang in this scene.
Yes. My one positive was that Yang, I like Yang more at the end of this episode.
Yeah. But here's what I kept thinking
about volume. Like her and Weiss kind of carried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yang was okay this volume. I want
more freezer burn. Give me my freezer burn. I want my lesbian motorcycle rides.
Maybe.
Ow.
But like, here's what I kept thinking during this I know, sorry, we're derailing kind of the.
It's fine. We're gonna be. There's a lot of derailing going on today.
Okay, but something that I kept thinking about during this scene between these two was Todoroki versus Midoriya in My Hero Academia this last season. basically you have a guy trying to you have one character calling another character on their bullshit during a fight, and instead of pausing or stopping during the fight, they're like the conversation is part of the fight. So like I feel like they passed up an opportunity here to have like an awesome scene of Yang, duking it out with Raven. Obviously, she's at a clear disadvantage because she's only got one arm, and Raven is supposed to be, have years of experience, and she's a maiden, and so she's getting her ass kicked while still calling her mom out on her bullshit. And I think that would have been just made it even better. It would have made Yang look really tough. It would have nailed home, what Yang is trying to say and stuff like that. Where it's like, I can take everything you can deliver to me. I can take this beating that you're dishing out because I know I'm right, and because because you're wrong. So I feel like I don't know. I feel like that's just another thing that I don't know has been wrong with this. I feel like they passed up an opportunity for them to fight and talk instead of standing and pacing and talking.
Yeah,
So,
that was one of my complaints with this episode. Still a lot of standing talking. Can I answer a
They're
question?
they're just standing there and talking, and you come back to me
Yes.
5 minutes later. They're still just standing there and talking.
Ryan W asked a very pertinent question in chat, which is Blake still insufferable? Ryan W, yes, Blake is still completely insufferable.
yeah.
Okay.
Even
talk
though
about
I like her as a waifu, she still is insufferable. I have a weak spot for Catty.
Speaking of characters who never have to suffer any consequences, by the way.
Well, as
That's-
terrible as her
that's-
plot is, I think
Yeah.
after these
It's
last
good
few
that she's back.
episodes, this whole the last half of this volume since episode 8, like Blake went from being like the worst part of her arc to like one of the better parts of her arc.
Which really just says more about how shitty the rest of her arc got versus her. She didn't improve
Yeah.
at all.
The Albanes, Adam, Ilya.
Yeah,
the
that's
Albanes.
not actually a good
We were
thing.
like,
Yeah.
Blake's such an. I remember back in Volume 4, I was like, man, Blake's such an idiot. And then at the end of this, it's like, if this
Kira
was
still
Volume.
doesn't remember
If
the
this was
breach.
Volume 3, Blake, she would have ran after Adam in a heartbeat and then gotten stabbed again.
Yeah.
Which
But she's like, no, that's
for the
cool.
record, I would have preferred. For the record, I would have preferred that.
Yeah, because they basically finished burying Adam this episode with, you know what? I just don't have time for you. It's all like, fuck you.
How do you not have time for him? This is what your character's been about for like most of the show has been based around Adam.
Yeah.
And
5 years.
five fucking
5
years,
years,
on
and
Adam.
that's what it ultimately culminates in. And yeah, he's not gone, and yeah, he's not beaten. He could come back, but still, this was some bullshit. And it's like he still looks really weak, and like for all we know, they're just gonna do with him what they've been doing with Neo. They're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, he's still out there. He might come back," and just never bother because they've given up on him.
Here's a quick little theory, and it's very insulting, but I don't care. I'm going to roll with it anyway. I think a big reason for this is that Miles and Carrie suck at dating and have no idea how to do a relationship. They're losers. All right, I just honestly think they are.
So you're saying that they are beta males.
So they don't know how to write a good relationship. They don't understand it. The only relationship they've written consistently
They do,
really
though.
well is Renora, which is
They
an
know
idealized
how to-
relationship.
They
Which is an
know how to
idealized
write
relationship.
dialogue. They know how to write conversation. They know how, like, whatever faults they have as writers. I've said this on the podcast before, but they understand relationships. The problem is that they're too scared to actually nut up and do it.
And I feel like a part of that might
That's
be
true.
because, like, I don't know.
Because when Kishimoto made Naruhina canon, he got death threats.
That might be it, yeah, and also just like I don't know.
I had nothing to do with
Just
that.
well, I don't know, just like the general reactions that people got to like White Knight in the second volume and stuff like that. I don't know. It's who knows. Yeah, it's and also just like the general reactions that people are having to like every ship in this show besides Renora, Bumblebee, Freezer Burn, Black Sun, like everybody's just losing their shit over it. But
Well, that's why
T Rose Garden shippers.
That's
so
why
they're
I
scared
just-
to piss off of like half of their fan base.
They're waifu baiting like anime does, and that's not okay. That's the worst part of anime, in my opinion. By far the worst part of a lot of anime. That's one of the reasons why stuff like Full Metal Alchemist is actually good. There's a legitimate relationship in that fucking show, and it's not baiting. That's why that was my theory. I can't actually prove that. That's just my guess. Because that's what I guess that's just the vibe I get from them. Whatever. But the reason I say that is because the only relationship they've written consistently well, like in terms of romantic relationships that they've actually consistently progressed, is Renora, and that's because that's kind of an idealized relationship in a lot of ways. It's not
kind of
it's not super overly realistic. It's a very 1 in a million kind of. But it's done well. I still love it. I still really enjoy it. But they can't do like a difficult relationship well. They don't know how to do it. Their thing is like,
complicated.
It's good for Blake. Like Blake is. They don't understand that like Blake could actually be hung up on. Like they said, they basically wrote it that Blake's hung up on Adam for like all those 5 years of the show. And that's extremely important. And then they're just like, oh, she's a strong, independent woman, and she don't need no man, so she doesn't care anymore. That's fucking bullshit.
Strong, independent woman.
So that's the thing that I have a problem with that. So, in the spirit of that, do you mind if I go down my list real quick? Everything that's wrong with this episode, real quick.
We just have to. We have to do.
Hold on. We don't have time to
finish. We have to finish.
It will sink.
Sorry,
not right now. Not today.
I really do.
We have to finish. So basically, the episode ends with. The episode ends with. Yang gets the relic. Emerald freaks out and does a very cool version of like smoke bomb, and with a really cool mass dispel, and then we get the final little cutscene, and then hey, by the way, I don't know if anyone caught it, but we're going to Atlas because reasons.
Because reasons.
We didn't call that like a.
You could have just said like we need to take it to Atlas because that's probably where it will be safest, and I would buy that. But no, they're just like, we need to go to Atlas, and they probably haven't given any thought to it.
Yeah, see, my only issue with that is like anytime Atlas is involved, things go south really fast, even though we should have like 5 different ways to fuck the Grim. We're still the one that gets the machine turned on.
I did the thing again this week.
You forgot the Grim, didn't you?
I forgot the Grim. I forgot the Grim existed again.
Very important threat.
Yeah.
You know what sucks is the Grim won't.
Your camera's frozen.
Hey, I just want y'all to remember this. But since we're going to Atlas next, the Grim aren't going to be a thing because they get frozen.
Probably, yeah. Unless it would be really cool though if like Salem finds some way to like melt the ice caps or something like that.
Just global warming Atlas.
Yeah, she just global warmings it, and like all those grid that have been frozen all of a sudden that have been frozen for like generations are now back with a vengeance. It's like, oh fuck.
No. It's
like,
just
I think that would be really cool.
Like thing Grim running around that are just like latching onto people and mutating them terribly.
Like prehistoric Grim or something like that. I don't know.
That would be interesting.
There's plenty of options with like snow-based Grim.
Real quick thing to make fun of the fandom, real quick, because I have to make fun of the fandom every podcast. Somebody in chat reminded me of something. I'm not making fun of them specifically, but it reminded me. How many minutes until somebody in the fandom calls this ending another cliffhanger?
It really isn't a cliffhanger.
I know it's not. Which is exactly my point, because you know somebody's going to say it, though.
It's not a cliffhanger. You know what this ending is?
People called last volume's ending a cliffhanger.
Boring.
Cliffhanger. This is walking into the parking lot and stepping off stepping down from the curb. That's how much of a cliffhanger this volume.
I know part of the problem with the episode was that. So
I would have been perfectly fine with a fucking cliffhanger ass ending for this volume.
I would have preferred it. Perfectly honest.
We had to get that little bit for Ruby's what development she was actually going to get that volume.
Which was none. Wait, in volume 4 or in volume 5? We got to be specific.
Volume 4.
Oh, volume 4, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit,
but a tiny little bit. Hey, it's about 1,000% more progression than she got this volume. That's for damn.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's still more than she got
As
this
we
volume,
said, and I'll
definitely.
say it again, even media has given up defending RWBY.
This volume, at
I
least.
haven't, but there's some things I
Like,
just
everything, it feels like pretty much every gripe that people had with last volume, this volume basically cranked it up to 11.
Yeah.
They fought fire with gasoline. Oh, Ruby wasn't in this show enough. She's barely in this volume. There's not enough fight scenes. There's hardly any fights in here. And so this is something that, like, people, last volume and this volume too, but people were saying, like, oh, it feels like they're actively trying to avoid, like, they're scared of doing fight scenes, like, they're actively trying to avoid doing them. Last volume, I feel like that was completely unfounded. There just wasn't the situations never really called for any kind of fight scene. This volume, yeah, no, that really does feel like what they were doing half the time.
Yeah.
Especially, like, this episode. Checkmate! Scream.
Yeah, what
Scream
was
black.
that?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, so.
Also, given
They
how
could've
long
just-
it's been, I almost guarantee that they do not remember how to do checkmate. Keep in
What was
mind,
the checkmate combo?
RWBY
even?
has spent more time with Ranger than she has with Team RWBY at this point. I don't know why people still forget that.
Yeah,
Canonically, she spent more time with Ranger now.
or just as much. Yeah.
Or just as much.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
hand
so-
the microphone.
like-
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, Sock, you finish. I'm gonna hand
Yeah.
the microphone over to Dude, and then if you could fix your webcam in the process, that'll be great. Because we're live, and bad things are gonna happen to us.
Yeah.
As
fine.
like someone throws incendiary tear gas through my window,
And
and then
people,
I get into a prolonged gunfight with the ATF.
and people are actually watching, so you know.
Can you guys introduce you to Grievous Chen for a second?
Sure, I don't care.
Pray Salem, pray Grievous Chen.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, and
As,
Say
as-
praise-
there
oh,
we
there we go.
as media breaks.
I
will never post that picture again, I swear.
I looked away from the screen.
I solemnly swear.
All right, so
That you are-
and
that
then
you are up to no
Robert's
good.
and then Robert's got a list too. So we'll
We can save that for, like, the end when we talk, if
Yeah.
we talk about predictions and stuff like that.
I was gonna say Robert's list sounds infinitely fascinating. I want to hear it very badly, but it probably goes near at the end after or during.
get your
while
shit
we're-
done with, dude.
Okay. Do not interrupt me. We can, if you guys have anything you specifically want to address after I go through the whole list, feel free to do so. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That means you two chat. Shut up.
Yeah,
First
yeah,
point.
Jack, shut up.
First point. So everything wrong with this episode. I did this in the last podcast. Oscar still never received any character progression whatsoever. Absolutely none. I stand by that. I said this from the moment he was introduced, and I've been saying this for 2 fucking volumes. Everybody said to give him a chance. I was completely right. He's only a vessel for Ozpin, and he's still a pile of shit. The only reason I'm not complaining about him as much as usual is because everything else got worse. He's literally just as bad as usual. That's the only reason why I'm not complaining. Blake did not apologize, and fuck you, Blake, for not apologizing. Yang and everybody on Team RWBY deserves a motherfucking apology, and for that matter, Ren and Nora probably deserve it too. Yang didn't yell at her, and I'm fucking furious about this. Yang should still be pissed. I understand that she's more pissed about her mom right now, but if Yang is suddenly completely okay with Blake, that is fucking bullshit. That is not accurate. RWBY would never hide her face at danger, such as what happened when Emerald did the Salem thing. Even if she's scared shitless, RWBY's entire personality that's been consistent for the entire goddamn show is that she will fly headfirst into any danger. And if anything, as media's pointed out, she almost has a death wish. So her cringing like that when the Salem thing came is bullshit, and they only did that to get a reaction. And just to try to make Salem scarier, which brings up another point as Ozpin explaining that was Salem as opposing to be that's like a really big reveal. Spoiler alert, the audience has known who Salem was for 2 fucking volumes. That doesn't mean jack shit to us, okay? It was nice to see Emerald totally lose it though. Still holding out for her to switch sides. Adam went out like a fucking bitch, and he still went out like a fucking bitch. They did not fix it. I knew this was going to happen. They were not actually going to make him do anything. That alone almost completely ruins the show. Spoiler alert, fandom. I also hate Adam, but I'm glad that I hate Adam. I was supposed to hate Adam the whole time, but I still wanted something to actually fucking happen with him and it to actually matter when they fought him. Also, again, fucking cops, really? And the people actually listen, the White Fang actually listen to the fucking cops? What the fuck?
So someone pointed this out in a Tumblr post where like the person who doesn't surrender is the darkest member of the White Fang that's there.
Also, another
Hell
point.
is all this time.
Oh dear.
Next, when Ilya attacks that Faunus guy who's about to shoot, and that Faunus girl says, "Thank you," as if she's about to die and she didn't know what to do. Again, that just proves my point. What the fuck did anybody think? Like a bunch of random Faunus people were going to be able to take on the White Fang. That just proves it more. That just proves it more. Okay, that's fucking stupid. Again, way too much standing and talking, as we already pointed out. Where's the fighting and talking? Just standing and talking. This bullshit of them attempting to portray Blake as a strong, independent woman who isn't still hung up on Adam is fucking bullshit, given her past and everything we've been taught about her this entire show up to this point. So her trying to say, "Oh, I don't care about Adam anymore," is completely out of character and makes no sense.
I think it was
everything they've done. Okay. If that's true, that's semi-okay, but
I think she said it just to screw with him.
Okay, but I don't trust Miles and Carrie to be smart enough to do that. That's the reason. That's the problem. If they was good writing consistently, then I would,
right.
then I would think that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if for say it was Michael and Brian from Avatar, and they did something like that, I would be like, nah, they're thinking of something here. But it's fucking Miles and Carrie, so I'm like, no, they think about it. I'm politically moderate, but if there's Rooster Teeth is so SJW liberal bullshit that they would absolutely write that and think it's a good idea. 100%. They would think that would be portraying Blake as a strong, independent woman. Which, by the way, Blake is the least strong and least independent woman in this entire fucking show. Okay? As Ron Swanson says, I love a strong, independent woman, but that's not a fucking strong, independent woman. Alright, what's next? The RWBY reunion was fucking bullshit. Not only because Yang should be mad, but 1 fucking minute and absolutely nothing happens.
Like a minute exactly.
Absolutely nothing happens.
It's a group hug.
And another point, this is the point I had a problem with, because they're already making Weiss a worse character now, because when Blake says, "What's wrong?" and Weiss says, "Nothing, I just remember you being more of the quiet one." Where does that come from? Blake didn't say anything! What is that? What is that line?
Did Blake becomes the edgy self-insert fanfiction character that sits in the dark corner of the room.
It's like, did Miles and Carrie think that Weiss was conscious to hear Blake's speech last episode?
Yeah, where did that come from? That is one of the worst fucking thing ever. Yes, as Ballsy says, Blake ain't independent. Thank you, Ballsy, you are correct. What's next? Gang's it's a big list. It's a big list.
So someone put that Last Jedi quote in the chat. We can't win by killing what we hate, but by saving what we love.
Yang's conversation was not complete bullshit, but them turning Raven into a coward like this is really, really lame. I was hoping, and they teased in Volume 4, that Raven would kind of be a gray area, possibly Zuko-ish character, one that has a good side that we are aware of, but is still like being too selfish or hung up on certain things to actually be good. Whether she turned bad or good would be ambiguous. In this volume, she just
I'm imagining her as like Endeavor from My Hero Academia, but anyway.
She just became a bad guy, and for all the wrong reasons that make no sense, and now she's not really aligned with the bad guys. It's a complete and utter coward. She abandoned her tribe too. There's nothing redeemable about that or interesting. I just don't give a shit about Raven at all anymore. And on the another point about it makes me feel not as bad for Yang, because like, well, she's just a shithead. Like, there's no potential there.
Your mom's an asshole.
Your mom's just an asshole. There doesn't feel like there's anything tragic there because she's only a cowardly asshole. So the impact of her saying like, "I'm sorry," and Yang saying, "I'm sorry too," that's kind of lost because there's nothing. She's not really sorry. I don't feel like she's sorry about anything.
Yeah, sorry for what?
With how shitty she is, and the fact that Yang's logic actually did kind of make sense. I did actually slightly like Yang more after this episode, which is literally the only positive thing that came out of this episode.
And Barb actually had good line delivery.
Yes, and she did have good line delivery, and it might be the only positive thing that's come out of this volume at all, is I slightly like Yang more, and I don't hate, and Weiss is just as good as before. That's the only 2 positive things that came out of this volume. Literally everybody else is worse. Also, no Renora. I know I'm a fanboy about it, but you can't do everything you did last volume and then not even do anything, not even a teaser in this volume. That doesn't make any sense, especially when, again, I've said this before, they did do some Black Sun stuff, which I'm glad they did, but don't do that and then not do the Renora stuff, because those are the only two relationships that you guys give a shit about. They fixed nothing from last episode, which they needed to do in this episode. This episode was, in my opinion, actually actively bad also, but it needed to be actively good, and it wasn't even in the middle. It didn't even fix anything. It's awful. The Atlas thing at least tells us where they're going, but it was really awkward line delivery, and it felt really stupid and just like a bullshit teaser thing. Killing Leo doesn't really make any sense. Salem should have respected the fact that he actually took some sort of action. I wrote this, and then media addressed it in his review, basically, so we agree on that. Salem saying coward while she just sits in her lair while she watches her minions do everything. Again, what are we supposed? We can't believe you, writers, when what you write doesn't make any sense.
I
Yeah, but
hate
the thing is, that's
villains
typical
like
of all
that.
like mastermind type villains. Like that's usually a typical thing. Like
Yeah.
usually, if I was writing it, like I would just have like let's say if I was mastermind and like these upstarts were like actually causing me issues. It's like, you know what, just take them out. Like don't send level 1s and then send level 5s and then just power up the heroes, because that's all you're doing. You're just making them stronger. Just knock them out.
That's whenever you go
Just
full
take level-
cartel and
take
you
level
just
one
and
and
you
RuneScape,
just start
bring them out
killing
to
off all their
the-
family members and all the people they care about, and then you just
Yeah.
then you finish them off last.
Like that was
Yeah, you just-
that was my probably biggest complaint about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, is the first two villains, Dio and then Cars, were just these really generic, I'm gonna sit in my evil castle and wait for the hero to find me.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. It's like even in
what's
Full
funny
Metal
is
Alchemist
the second
Brotherhood.
a part about JoJo's is that the Nazis actually come in to save the day with their special light beams to defeat the vampires.
It happens. It's a thing that
God,
happens.
that sounds like the Onion movie when Peruvians come in with laser vision to save the day. That sounds just like that. That was a fake movie.
Yeah. I guess right now what I'm thinking about is like Father in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and also kind of Ozai in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Is that these guys
and
were
the Emperor, they had stuff to do. They were too busy to be dealing with the freaking rebels or dealing with the freaking
Yeah,
Avatar. They had too many. They
had to run a
empires
fucking
to run.
country.
Yeah, they were running empires,
They
and
run
yeah,
their
that's-
empires, man. Yeah, they got their empires to deal with.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking about like I don't know with.
It's like I gotta pay
But, like
taxes.
even then, we
and
still
shit.
got glimpses of what they were capable of. We see like in the first book of Avatar: The Last Airbender, we get that glimpse of when Ozai fried half of his son's face.
Yeah, exactly.
And
It's
in
scary.
yeah, exactly, and like in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood with Father, we get that
Who
scene.
also like physically could
Decent-
not leave that chamber.
Yeah, he couldn't. Yeah, there was a reason why he couldn't do anything. With Salem, we don't know why she doesn't do anything, and also like with Father, we still get that scene early on where Father, where like they actually meet Father, and he
off alchemy.
and he turns off their alchemy. You're like, oh fuck, that's what this guy could do. Holy shit! Yeah, exactly. We're not getting any of that. Like, we don't know why Salem is so terrifying at this point. We need to see. Yeah, why exactly she is terrifying. And
The other mistake, and I did point this out earlier, is showing who Salem was a mistake as early as they did. We should not know what she looked. That was one of the best things they did with Ozai, and they kind of did it with the Emperor for a little bit too. You tease him, and you don't show who they are quite yet, and that makes it a lot scarier. That helps.
Yeah.
And also,
so you're
that
saying
might have been
Go ahead.
or that might have been good, yeah, if they had because if this shot of Illusion Salem was the first time that we saw her, that would be pretty terrifying. They probably could have just kept her on the back burner and stuff like that, just had or And we still have this is something that's bugging me. We still have no idea why they want specifically RWBY, why they specifically want RWBY alive particularly. And like the more they don't tell us that, the more it does kind of feel like it's just a reason, like some sort of plot armor that they've set up for RWBY or something like that.
Yeah, well, the whole main thing that they want RWBY for is for her eyes, which they.
But like, why do they need the? But what do they need the eyes for?
I think the theory that we had.
Squish him. They just want to take him and rip him out and squish him. I don't know. Put him in a jar.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the honest theory that we had was that they wanted to like, let's say they convert RWBY over. It's simply for the fact that they can keep Cinder in check.
Yeah, and to be fair, like with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, they kind of did that with that. And yeah, we need them for sacrifice, and you don't really know what that. Well, no, because you do kind of, because that sacrifice is like the big thing, is central to Father's plot and stuff like that. You're slowly putting things together. With RWBY, we really don't know. Like they don't say, we don't really know what it is that Salem is trying to do. We don't know if she's trying to destroy things, and if so, how has she not been able to pull it off yet? We don't know if she wants control, and if so, why she hasn't pulled that off yet. So
that's the problem with this show right now. They don't know how to write villains. They're in this weird, vague spot where they don't.
It's not. This isn't a problem right now. It's been a problem since Volume 1.
Yeah, things are not mysterious enough. And things are not clear enough, all at the same time, which doesn't make any sense. They show the villains a lot, but they don't show us what their end goal is. They show us too much of what they're doing immediately, and not enough of what the whole point of all of it is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem. Like you watch Avatar, you know what the point is. He wants to conquer the entire world. That's the whole point.
That's what they've been trying to do for years.
It's basic, but so what? It's a big fucking deal. If we just knew that that's what Salem wanted to do, if we just knew she wants to enslave the Earth, that would be enough. That's all we need. But we don't know what the point of all of this is.
Yeah.
By the time we learn it, it's not going to matter anymore.
Because if for some reason she just wants to destroy Ozpin or whatever, then it's like, well, who gives a fuck? Let her kill Ozpin. Ozpin sucks.
Yeah.
So there's a few things I kind of want to bring up about the episode. So whatever Yang grabs the relic, and then how like it does like the watercolor effects over both her and the relic is like. So I confer her like little like going down to her knees and crying to like one of two things. And so for me, I would assume like she grabs the relic and she like the thing that might have been on her mind was like the actual truth of how Raven got, like her powers. And maybe like she's sitting there thinking about it, and then the relic's just like beaming it into her skull, and she's like, "Oh, I'm crying about that." But then also it makes sense.
Well, she already said that she knows that she was able to figure out what happened.
Well, there's knowing, but then there's knowing.
Okay,
it's like, okay, I knew that you kill someone, but I also now have the security camera footage too of you killing that person. That makes sense. But then for me, it's I'm leaning more towards
the confirmation is that you have confirmation.
Yeah, for me, it's more along the lines of it's like, oh, okay, well, this is like I confronted my mom, and then she just runs away, and that's what's breaking her too. Also, so it's basically like the painful abandonment cycle of Raven. Whenever it comes to the Yang, pretty much just like circled it. Yeah, it circled itself, and then it started over again, and then also ended at the exact same time. Yeah. So I would personally like the idea where, like, I kind of hope that the relic could just be like used where like someone like walks up to it like it's a fucking lamp. It'd be hilarious to be a great gag. Is like, okay, shit, we gotta hide this
thing. Put a lampshade on it?
Yes, I was just saying they put a fucking lampshade on it to hide it. That would be perfect.
That would actually be funny.
And then one of the guards is sitting there staring at the lamp. It's like, this thing's whispering to me. It's like, no, it's not.
This thing's whispering dark secrets to me.
It's saying send nudes.
Yes, send nudes.
I was gonna say it says the show sucks.
No, it just says send nudes. That's the appropriate answer. Or it's like those images where it's like I sent you a picture of my dick. Why haven't you responded?
Oh no.
But
Was it-
like that's how. And then I mean, like really, there's not like. I mean, so we're going to Atlas. So let's open this up to the
Which-
chat.
I'm actually glad they're going to Alice instead of the desert one that I forgot because nobody's mentioned it
Vacuo.
in forever.
Vacuo.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I kind of want
Well,
to.
Atlas I want to see Vacuo more, but Atlas is the easier jump since we already know characters there. We already know kind of like how it's ran and stuff, and it'll be
Yeah.
a lot.
I'm fine with them
smoother
going to
transition
Atlas.
from-
I just want to know why.
Yeah.
Because they got to
Yeah,
put
because
the
it's kinda
relic
tacked
in the
on.
magic in the machine, so it does things. Who knows? Okay, so let's. We'll do some light Well, just speculation at this
I'm
point.
scrolling through the chat. I'm kind of scanning
So
for
if,
questions.
do we have any?
if anyone has
Any
questions, or if
questions?
anyone has any like plot points they think will be good for Volume 6, so
This is this is when I decided to stop the chat on my screen so that we could read questions. So this is gonna date this, but DeAndre Kids asked, "No hope for Raven?" Question mark.
Oh, I have hope for Raven. Like she's one of the.
I do too.
I think they've
I
hit the
have-
reset button on her, which which might be a good thing. I don't know. I'm a little curious to see like what goes on between her and Tai Yang, but yeah,
I think
yeah.
they're still planning on having her redeem herself eventually, but I just think they're doing such a shitty job of it now that I don't care.
I don't expect as I said, I don't expect a full face turn. I just just small smidges here and there, like maybe
I still think that Raven needs to die at some point and pass the Spring Maiden's powers onto Yang. I think she needs to have that moment where she realizes my mom really did like care and love me, but I think how much time passes between now and then,
Well, I hear what you're saying. Like, I totally agree. That would be a really good plot point, but like as of right now, I give it like maybe a volume or two, and then I can see that happening as soon as but they have to give Raven some more screen time.
Yeah.
So
I used to be against the idea of all 4 members becoming maidens because I thought that would be kind of
then it becomes a magical girl show.
Kind of, yeah, and I was a little adverse to that, but at the same time, the maidens are a thing now, and the show needs to refocus on Team RWBY. So, yeah.
So this was what I took away from it, like after sitting there thinking about it. So the way that my mind is going is that Raven will go to Ty and be like, Ty, it's happening again. You know, your daughters are both caught up in Ozpin's bullshit, and you know how it's gonna end. We need to go. It's like I know. You hooked up with Summer and had a kid with her, and I obviously left you on a very long trip to go get cigarettes. But this is both of your daughters here. And we have to it's like we need to pull them out of the fire here, which could create an interesting setup whenever both Ty and Raven show up and they're like
and to say get the hell away from Ozpin,
and it's like you need to get away from Ozpin because then obviously Ruby's like already like bought it in hook, line, and sinker. It's like I gotta do this shit, and then Yang ain't gonna be having none of this shit though. Like I would like the idea that
she's been taken in by a cute face.
Yeah, I honestly like the idea of Ty and Raven like going to them and being like, "No, you need to come back home with us. This isn't going to end well."
But before
this
isn't
going to end how you think it is.
And then I feel like the way that this will start, like that how it gets convinced is like we get the Team Stark flashback. As it's sitting there, and it's like, okay, Raven's like sitting there talking about the inciting incident of why things are the way that they are, pretty much. And then Ty's like, okay, you're right. Get up in the bedroom. I'm going to put another kid in you, and then we'll go do this.
Speaking of that, and before I get to the next comment, I decided to stop on. David Joshua McCalla posted this on,
I saw
I
that.
believe,
Yeah.
Ruby Republic. Was this dialogue between Raven and Ty? It's like, honey, Raven, oh God, what happened to you? I just came back from Haven. Oh gosh, the girls were there. Did you? Summer was right, Crow was right, Glinda, they were all right, and so on and so forth. Like kind of sappy dialogue. And Raven's like, I need you to punish me. It's like,
Yeah, I have
Well-
a quick question to answer from somebody. Rinku Stan asks, what about Ruby headbutting Mercury when she lost her weapon? Was that good character development? I found it executed poorly. Yes, that was
that
executed
entire subplot was
horribly.
executed.
That was
The
yeah,
whole
that-
Ruby
yeah,
is
that
not
was-
good in hand-to-hand combat makes sense.
Yeah,
That was terrible.
Yeah, it's been handled poorly. It's been handled poorly from day one, and no, that was not satisfying.
I mean,
was
it's
so
not like
awkward.
Ruby's
It
a
was
martial
like-
artist or anything. I'm just
Yeah.
It's honestly something that I wish they would have just forgot about. Where they're
Yeah,
like
they would-
Ruby's good at first life. She's just okay in hand-to-hand combat. She ain't the best. Like this
Yeah,
is something she's
The
gonna
whole
do.
she's bad in hand-to-hand combat thing is something that kind of requires you to ignore the pilot, where she knocks out two guys unarmed.
yeah.
So
That
Anyway,
too.
next comment I
Anyway,
decided to stop
next.
on was Devin Holmes said Blake has a harem. It's still growing. She's become Kirito.
This is
kind
true.
of, yeah, she's just a hopeless loser, just to be a hopeless loser. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
That's not a good thing.
Or a hopeless loner,
sorry,
and
so
no,
you know
it is
Blake's
not a
arc-
good thing. Actually,
Is it
Well,
still bad? Am I still bad?
I think Kirito is more bland and more boring than Blake is. She's not quite that bad, but she's not great. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, how
Like,
bad is Kirito?
as to you guys, because you guys have been here, like, and anyone in the chat who's actually watched our podcast and everything like that, I just want to apologize. I've said at the beginning of this volume that I was like, I'm really hyped for Blake's arc and everything. Like, I've got high hopes for it. They're gonna do it justice. They're gonna make up for everything they've
Hey,
done.
I had high hopes too.
Sorry.
I did too. It's okay. I forgive
I'm
you.
so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry.
I knew it
We
was
were
going to be
both wrong,
garbage.
Sock.
I just want to say I knew it was going to be garbage. I hoped it wasn't. But
I
knew
had
it
a
was
hope,
garbage.
and they
Let's blast through some of these.
Okay, yeah. Rapid fire.
So that because we're way behind on these.
Sorry.
Did they retcon Hazel? This is the Floof artist said. Did they retcon Hazel having a hole in his left side during this last?
Yes,
episode?
they did.
Yeah. Yes, they did.
Yes,
they
they
did.
Yeah.
did.
They retconned
Either
that.
that or either
By
that,
saying that, apparently
or
he
heals better
recharges
than
his
John's
aura
aura.
really fast, which makes no sense and raises a million questions.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
We can just
So,
say
yes.
like we can just say
Also-
like because they don't do gore or anything like that. So you're not seeing like.
I feel like-
Although I do like
feel like the way
that
that
Blake's. I do like that Weiss's shirt was still bloody. I thought that was.
I think
a
the way
nice
they're
little
going to
bit.
explain. I think the way they're going to explain the Hazel thing is that he still had his aura. He just had his like aura down for whatever because plot, and so like right after
But it's
that it just
That
healed.
still
because of his
doesn't
aura.
make sense.
It doesn't,
But,
but that's
like-
the way they're going to explain it.
Probably.
Yeah,
Anyway,
probably.
next.
It would have been
This is
better
al-
if he
this
just
is
shoved
also-
another
yeah.
dust crystal into himself, and it was like a nature dust
This
crystal.
is-
And then
yeah.
you just hear like bone cracking noises as his body puts itself back together.
Oh,
This
And
is
then
also
more nanomachines, son. I mean dust.
Yeah.
this is also the Floof artist. Would it be just called a hanger because it makes me want to hang myself?
Oh no.
That's a good one. I can agree with that. I'll sign off.
Then that's what made me comment. Like,
Would
"You got
what
some
be
funny
called
ones."
just a hanger?
Would the cliffhanger just be called a hanger? Because I
Oh.
want to hang myself.
Sure, go for
off
it.
a cliff.
Sorry, I made you explain
Someone
that
asked,
joke.
"Has RWBY have a great fight scene that just involved her?" The answer is nope, and he answered his own question.
No.
And that was Tay D20DD.
Well, I mean,
When,
if you- talk about her inter-
which
if you talk about
volume
her
are you talking
introduction
about?
in, like,
Because
she's never had a like real like one-on-one fight scene.
yeah, she's had mooks. She's fought mooks in,
against
one-
like a single
I-
opponent,
I
yeah,
guess,
no.
like,
Yeah,
I
the
guess
Floof
Roman-
art- the Floof-
Maybe, yeah, maybe with Roman and Neo, but that was 2-on-1, which was, I mean, she was still good in that, but she's never won a 1-on-1 fight. We've never seen her do that, and that's a problem.
Yeah,
a
like,
couple
she
people.
really just fought mooks.
A couple
Honey
people brought
Dad
up
98 makes a fair point where this volume really had something going for it in whatever's at a weird pace, granted, then it got to Shat by the last 4 episodes, which I would simply say that the first 4 episodes of the volume were amazing.
Yeah, they were really good.
They were
And
pretty
then it
good.
just
They were
all
good.
of a sudden,
As sad as I was
tank.
seeing a con go down like that, and as mad as I was,
This makes me wish that like Sienna Khan was alive and like Hazel was like pulling Adam aside. It's like, don't you fucking like stab this lady, okay? And then I would have preferred where like Sienna Khan basically was like, okay, I will give you the troops stuff. You know what would have been better for the fight scene between the Faunus and the White Fang was basically they just like recreate the scene almost shot for shot in like the third Batman movie, where it's all the cops are running into all the escaped prison people in the
That's what I
streets,
was
and they're just
hoping.
yeah, that would have been perfect. That would have been perfectly great, and they're just autistically flailing their arms at each other.
So the Foo Fighters,
Jesse,
in a follow-up question to what we answered, which is a good point. How can Hazel have 2 semblances, lol? Which is a good question, but Jack of Many Names already answered it, because shut up, which is pretty much what the writers want you to think. So there we go. That's pretty much the whole conversation right there.
Stop asking questions.
Yeah, how the hell does
timeline?
how the hell does this say?
we're talking about like actual one-on-one fights with like actual like villains and actual combatants, not just like
don't make Miles think.
We're talking about like actual like fighters.
Don't make poor Miles think. Just don't.
He's not good at a lot of memory stuff, guys. Leave him alone.
Things that are required to write things.
I am looking forward to watching this season.
People have also brought up like Mermaid Faunus potentially having 2 traits, like the fins
Yeah.
and the ability to
That's an
move underwater.
issue. Sounds fishy.
I am looking forward to whenever I see the Volume 6 preview, and then they're defending.
Yes, I did catch that.
The last. This is going to make me not want to see the Volume 6 preview in theaters because I have to watch these last 4 episodes in a row.
Yeah, if they do this.
I can say you guys.
Thomas Wayward said, "Radical idea. What if the Grimm are actually in the show?"
Thomas, that would be.
Whoa!
That sounds like a Sunny D
Let's
theory.
not get crazy here.
That's a Sunny D theory if I've ever heard one.
Thomas, that sounds fantastic. I just don't see that happening anytime soon.
The Hunter's Zenith is the writers were on too many Tide Pods when making this monstrosity.
The Foo artist made another good point. Fat Man's Volume 5 review great, and then it said, "Yep," and I agree. Yep, it's going to be quite entertaining.
Volume 6 premieres next week. The Volume 5 review just comes out. Because it's going to take them all to get through all this.
Oh god, I haven't even looked at what Fat Man's thought of like in their little like group review of this episode. I need to watch.
I'm
both.
sure he's not a fan.
I don't think they've have they released.
They've done the
discussion.
reaction.
I know they've done the reaction. I've seen that.
Yeah, they don't upload the discussions until the actual episode airs on YouTube.
Because Rooster Teeth's copyright.
Yeah.
Bull crap.
BS.
So you deal with like VidMe's, the reactions, and
because the company that got famous for making videos in Halo thought it was a good idea to do that sort of copyright bullshit. Because Logic, apparently,
copyright laws
out of them every like couple weeks. So
anyway,
and then because all the Rooster Teeth fans are fucking ridiculous fanboys, they're all like, "Oh, it's totally okay. We don't mind at all." Jesus fucking Christ.
I actually, no joke, I ran into a hardcore Rooster Teeth fanboy.
Oh, no.
Did you?
And I'm just sitting there and I'm just keeping my mouth shut the entire time. And they're like, he's like, "Oh, I've only watched Red vs. Blue," and I'm like...
Yeah.
Do
you have any other
Red
question?
vs. Blue says the person who actually liked season 15.
I stopped watching after season 13.
Season 15 is... honestly, 2 things. Season 15 is the best season since season 6, and it really, really, really just wants to die. Let it go, people.
Yeah.
15 was the most recent one, right?
To not watch. Yeah, 15 was the most recent. It wants you to stop. It literally said that like
they just need to
100
do
times
an
in season
anthology
15.
series. That's
Well,
like,
I think
if people really can't get over it, just give them an anthology series until they stop asking for more. Because I thought season 14 was pretty good. Well, I don't know. It was ups and downs, which is what you can expect from an anthology series.
Yeah, that's how anthology series
Well,
work. It had its
in that
moments.
In that vein, I think the fact that they're introducing 2 new animated shows might be like a sign that they're actually going to kill it off soon.
Season
I hope
16.
so.
They'll just say,
we
don't
announce
need-
season 16. So
Yeah.
With that said, both shows look like garbage to me. But
I'm
Okay,
interested to
so
see Nomad from Nowhere. I could care
I
less
don't
about Jet
know
Li.
enough about them to care.
Samurai
I-
Jack
Donovan
was
Walker, Donovan Walker says, "Do you think they had Raven kill Cinder to make sure the heroes didn't have to?" I think they just did it to like power scale, like where Raven stands against
That
Cinder,
better
and
not
probably
be
like
why.
appease some of the people.
Yeah, they better not do any.
Hardcore, like hate.
Yeah, they
boners.
better not try to pull any of these like no killing rules with these guys. I like Batman, but it would not match with this show. It would not work with these characters. We've seen them kill
yeah.
or do things
I
that
don't give a shit.
Like
they've
like,
caused the death of
Ruby,
others.
remember, she kicked people off trains into Hordes of Grimm. Just saying.
Ruby and Nora specifically revel in violence. Okay, they have a kind of a hard-on for both of those
Yeah.
characters. So if you're going to tell me, that's again why I said
Yeah.
that Nora's line of "I just need him to go down" line was one of the worst lines.
God, that line was so bad.
You should have
I'm
just
happy
said,
with
"Yeah,
Ruby's
I just
claim.
want to
Character
kill."
What?
is going to say,
What's
"I just
wrong?
need him to fucking die." That would be Nora, the girl whose past is
Yeah.
I was a street rat and I caused the death of the love of my life's family. I wonder if I have some internal
God.
issues probably, and my happiness is slightly masking that. Yeah, that's probably Nora. So I don't think Nora would speak the way that she did in
Yeah,
that
they.
episode, just saying.
These characters should not have any should not have any qualms with killing people. We were introduced to Yang by watching her commit 3 felonies. Okay, I doubt she assault, property damage, and underage drinking. All right, I don't think she should have any qualms with killing.
non-alcoholic.
Okay, fine, but I don't know.
Oh my God.
Underage
Okay, Robert,
patronage or
Robert,
what?
I didn't know that either, Robert, so it's
Stop,
okay.
Stop. We got Fat Man
Thanks.
falling in the chat.
What?
Oh!
Hey, Fat Man.
Senpai noticed us.
He
Senpai
said,
has
well,
noticed
he's-
media.
He's seen some of my videos before.
I know.
He said about Raven killing Cinder, the way they had Finnick die was so blatantly no one's fault.
Oh, that's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. The whole that's a good point.
Fuck.
Yeah, so he thinks that he
Fat
just
Man,
said
what do you mean? Like it's like
he
no
just said I'm pretty sure they are making
feels
a
like
no kill rule, which we just kind of made fun of them for. See, I think he might be right, and I don't like that because again,
Shit.
like I said, that doesn't make sense given Ruby's and at least Ruby's and Nora's characters. And
like I'm sure,
Nora's
I'm sure you've already thought about this, but like, did the Volume 2 train scene just not happen?
Yeah, and also,
Yeah.
can we not remember the fact that Blake has probably killed people? She was basically a terrorist for most of the
That's
beginning of her life.
kind of yeah.
And we're
I
so-
forgot about that.
And we're
Yeah.
supposed
It's even,
to
it's implied by Adam that she's killed before.
also
No,
the
it's
thing is,
sorry, by Roman in Volume 2 that she's killed people before. It was kind of implied, and
The
they just
things you've
dropped.
done.
Yeah, like I get what
What
Fat Man's
you've
saying. Like, I get
done.
him saying that they don't want to do like on-screen kills.
If I go to RTX, that's going to be my question. It's going to be like, please, or it's going to be, please tell me you guys do not have a problem with Team Ruby killing people. Because they've killed people.
what was Volume 2 where like as she saw a Grimm and what was Ruby's first thing? Oh yeah, it was let's kill it.
Yeah.
Literally, that's the
That's
first
a
thing
Grimm,
she
but-
says. Let's
Yeah, exactly.
kill it.
They have no problem killing Grimm and nothing against hunters, but killing Grimm is not a huge leap from to killing people,
Oh, this is a great point.
especially killing bad people.
The Intratech
Oh, yeah, I was about
says,
to bring
the
that up.
Intratech 9 says, we want a show that handles serious topics, but we can't trigger anybody because it's for kids. Ruby logic. Yep.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yep.
I
That's so
don't
far,
have
that's what it feels like.
that thinking emoji is 42 terabytes large. That's
Yeah.
that's where I'm at right now.
That's the problem.
So yeah, if I end up at RTX, someone at RTX needs to ask that. Do you guys have are your characters going to have any no killing rules? Because if so, that's bullshit.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, no,
bullshit.
I get what Fat Man's going. They don't want like Yang to like punch through someone. They don't want Ruby to like actually like lodge her scythe in someone. They like
Someone's
if
head
the
off.
character dies it's gonna be like off screen or as a oh I knocked him away and they
They just expire.
Lionheart. By the way, can we talk about how this is the closest thing to an on? By the way, can we talk about how just something to note? A huge milestone here. A Grimm has actually killed someone on screen, kind of. For the first time in the series.
Oh yeah, with
the
We've heard a Grimm killed someone.
Oh yeah, that thing's actually a Grimm. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Wait, which one are you talking? Oh, you're talking about Cinder's thing?
I want to.
The Seal Grimm killed Lionheart.
Oh yeah, okay.
I want to address what the Interact 9 said about we want a show that handles serious topics, but we can't trigger anybody because it's for kids. Okay, so that is RWBY logic, and that is like one of the problems Miles and Carrie have. But the problem with it is that they're not giving kids credit. I'm an education major. I work with kids every day. They can handle that stuff.
Yeah.
I grew up on Lion King, people.
Yeah, Lion King.
Watch
Exactly.
Disney movies.
All of that kid stuff out the window.
Yeah, watch Batman the animated series.
Volume 4 material.
Oh yeah.
I vehemently hate that argument that but it's for kids. Like, kids can handle serious topics so long as they're like kind of simplified, obviously. But they
never-ending story fucked me up as a child.
People, particularly people in like Hollywood and stuff, don't give them enough credit.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was okay? What
Disney on the other hand kind of does. Lion King, Hunchback of Notre Dame. Okay, those are some fucked up shows that are for kids.
Dark movies, and Hunchback is fucking amazing. Hunchback is
Gypsy was literally being roasted at the stake, burned at the stake.
Yeah. And literally
it is dark all around. There is a song about
being lusted after by the Catholic priest. I mean, that was some fucking
by an authority figure. Yeah. Hellfire is dark. Holy shit.
Hellfire. Oh god.
Still the best Disney song of all time, in my opinion.
Not to mention, like Robert. Not to mention, like Dark Crystal, Neverending Story. Like I know that Disney thing, but like those are kids' movies.
Or even. Even
I would not consider Watership Down a kids movie, by the way.
Even Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is a Nickelodeon show, was more mature than RWBY was. Let's
have a child getting named by his father, people.
Yeah.
And kids can handle that. They can handle everything else this show has to offer.
And the other thing is they had Jet die, and they even said in a commentary where they said the only reason why he couldn't die directly is because Nickelodeon wouldn't let him. So that was
characters just look at each other and shrug. It's like we don't actually know what happened.
Yeah,
that was the writer saying.
Hyundad, I'm just gonna call you Dad 98. At least we weren't fed the Shadow Realm lie. If anyone plays Yu-Gi-Oh, got that.
Well, that was a US.
We're in hell. Just accept it. We're in hell.
But 4Kids, like everybody knows, 4Kids is terrible. So that's
Yeah, I like Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series. We're in hell.
Yeah. Oh god, Yu-Gi-Oh!
No, you are seriously going to die.
Yeah.
Oh wait, everyone, we gotta press F to pay respects for Lionheart. All right, everyone, press.
No respect. Fuck Lionheart. Fuck him and his dual disc.
Why did Salem kill him?
He's the only one who's actually kind of brave.
What? Yeah, what did? Yeah, it's kind of like what exactly did he do wrong?
Adam, he didn't run until long after Adam did.
Well, that's the
what did he do wrong exactly that she had to kill him?
I kind of
like he didn't fuck up any more than like Tyrion did, or
we don't know what happened to Tyrion.
Or anyone else here. He did everything that she told him to do. I don't know. Also, I like how his go-to. I don't know. I think it's kind of weird that his go-to excuse was, well, they had the Silver Eyes girl with them. And she didn't do, and the Silver Eyes didn't do jack squat.
Silver Eyes, and then immediately got whacked on the head and like, I'm out.
And didn't do, they had the Silver Eyes who didn't do jack squat, which is another issue.
For me, the reason why that happened, in my humble opinion, is they still have no clue what the fuck they actually want the Silver Eye powers to do.
I think you're totally right.
I think it's part that maybe they were trying to let us know that it's not super OP, that it can be stopped. But yeah, that was some bullshit.
So somebody made another point, and I hope they mean this in a funny way, because I think that's what it is. Roberto Maldonado said, Emerald was right when she said that Ruby and them are just so happy all the time.
So I want to answer Club's question. His question.
I'm hoping that's a response to the Ruby logic thing, because
is for Volume 6. Will Salem actually go out and get her hands dirty? I'm paraphrasing for him though.
She really should.
She should. I don't think so. I think they're gonna wait though.
I think it would be cool if, since they're going to Atlas, if she shows up as like some rich like she can, well, yeah.
Oh,
she obviously removes the grim look, but she shows up as like some kind of like she shows up as some rich sneaky business partner to the Schnees or something like that. I think that, or maybe even shows up to try and work with Ironwood. I think that would be cool. It would be nice if she's
sneaky like Cinder was in Volume 2.
I know, but she does need to get her hands dirty. She needs to do something to let us know why she should be feared, how she's lasted this long. So
Thomas Wyan says, "Wait, I don't recall a character was show." Good point. Neither do I.
Wait, what?
Says Thomas Wyan said, "Wait, I don't recall a character with silver eyes doing anything in this show," which is true. I don't remember that either.
Yeah.
Other than freezing a dragon, that was about it.
Yeah,
which we even didn't know how that actually happened.
Yeah, we still don't understand that.
Man, we really should get that flashback of Ruby just freaking rolling over Cinder.
So, Who-And asked, what happened to the writers with Volume 5? That's the main issue. Did they suddenly turn into kids, or are they just smoking something? Here's the thing. They were always kind of bad.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm kind of wondering that too, though, because you're right. They've always been kind of bad. The show has always had issues. But it is weird. Like I said, it feels like they heard everything that people griped about last volume and just cranked it up to 11, fought fire with gasoline. So I really don't.
I feel like this was more.
I really don't know.
I feel like they didn't listen to the fact that more people liked Volume 3. That Volume 3 took the show and their entire company to whole new heights that they had never seen before. And instead they focused on Tumblr complaining about Pyrrha dying and Adam cutting off Yang's arm. And those are the kinds of people that they listen to.
Yeah, or something like that. That they're listening to like the people. Yeah, like they're listening to the dumbest complaints from the fandom about Adam and people dying, and the show's scary now, and they're responding in the worst possible ways. I honestly don't know what happened, because I was along with you. Well, yeah, I'm with you guys. Volume 4 was the best volume. I thought they were genuinely improving. I don't know how they could have started getting so much better and then just plummeted down like this. It was weird. So
it's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know.
It's
an excellent question, because I can't think of the answer exactly. I'm not sure what happened. It almost feels like they specifically put less effort into this volume.
I feel that they've kind of this volume.
But I'm not sure if they did.
I feel like they didn't realize it, but they were writing themselves into a corner. But I want to bring up a question that about power scaling. So about power scaling by Rinku Sam. Are we to think Team RWBY? Yeah, obviously it doesn't exist. Okay, keep up with Team Salem now, since they're overpowered. M, Merc, and Hazel, or the incredible Dust Hulk Man. So
I think
the thing is like everyone's saying like the villains weren't a threat. It's like up until
good question. We don't know.
Yeah, up until like
power scaling has been bullshit.
There's no way for us to win.
The bad guys. So back in episode 10, the way that this was looking is there's no way that Team RWBY's gonna come out on the top.
Yeah, and that was kind of a bad thing actually. It was okay, they need a bit of a win, and then they just gave them a way too big of a win. and made the bad guys look really weak. So
I was gonna say that's the thing that doesn't make sense is that what happened during all these fights in these past few episodes? Like,
well, we would like to know, but they keep switching.
they kept switching
scenes.
scenes.
So
So like,
what fight was about to happen?
we don't.
and it's
really,
like you watch, and you look back on like Tyrion, how he was able to just plow through, all four members of. All four members of Ranger and stuff like that. And so it's like, okay, now we've got Hazel, we've got Cinder, who's supposed to be on Hazel's level, if not more powerful. Lionheart's supposed to be a headmaster. And then we got Emerald and Murray, who we're assuming were holding back all throughout Volume 3. It feels like they should have won. Like, I don't know.
The good guys no way for us to win with those odds.
The good guys should have shown more improvement than what we got in episode like 10 and 11, but they shouldn't have then turned around and kicked all the asses like they seem to have done in these last two episodes. So
that was
like that. Like, let's put it this way: everyone knows John is my favorite character. He did more impressive stuff, and his fighting style was way better in Volume 4 than it was in Volume 5, despite the training he had received.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Yeah.
A couple other good points.
But he still hasn't topped what he did in Volume 1, but yeah.
A couple other good points in the chat. Club says, I feel like there's a lack of balance between victories and losses, which I think that's a very good point. I agree. It doesn't, it's hard to tell what is a victory and what's a loss with this volume.
They refer to the end of Volume 3 as a Pyrrhic victory, even though it's clearly not any kind of victory.
And it's crazy that we went through from Volume 4, which people complain about the ending of that volume, even though it's like, well, they actually finally beat a really big Grim by using teamwork, something that RWBY referenced in this volume and then never.
That was a more satisfying victory than this one. So,
absolutely.
So
and then Felipe Chio says Crow is useless this volume. Agreed. And that sucks because
I like how Hunt brings up that Haven should have been the get out of jail free card, and I feel like Haven was the get out of jail free card for this volume.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, they pulled all the get out of jail free cards, like have Blake show up with her pointless Faunus army, and then having the cops show up and stuff like that. It all just didn't make sense.
And kind of Jean semblance.
It doesn't. Yeah,
I hate to say it, but it's kind of a get out of jail.
Which we all expected. We just had to wait for it to finally show up.
And so
that's what.
There was something I was going to say a second ago.
Semblance. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I like his semblance. They just should have introduced it earlier, and I'm also glad that, like, I don't know.
Maybe they could have used it to keep Crow alive until the Forest Service showed up.
Something like that, or powered someone up during the fight with the Knucklave. Just something, anything to make his semblance make. I don't know.
I think more Grim should have showed. I think
where's the Grim?
As much as I liked the Volume 4 finale and I liked that fight on the whole, at least the way it was like written and stuff, animation wise, whatever.
There's always room for improvement. There's always more they could have done.
Okay, I have a theory. I have a theory on possibly why the show has gotten so bad. Okay, so hear me out on this.
All right.
I think Miles and Carrie do have some writing skills. I do. They're not great, but they do sometimes do things well. Like, for example, from Volume 3, even in this volume, Weiss has actually been a very well-written character overall. She's actually had a pretty excellent progression overall, especially by RWBY standards. Ren and Nor's relationship has been written well. I think Black Sun has been written well. I think there are certain relationships. Weiss and Winter have been written well. Ruby and Crow.
Yeah, they know relationships.
They write some relationships well. And that's because they do have some minor natural talent, I think. That's where that comes from. But the thing is, I think the problem is the way they think of when they write, and I've seen this when I watched the when I watched their director's commentaries, and I love to watch audio commentaries. And the thing is, and this is where, in this volume specifically, is where a lot of things got settled and revealed, right? And that's the problem. I think their logic is that the way they write is not, how does this happen? How should we do this? How does this character grow? It's, ooh, what if this happened? Ooh, what if this happened? ooh, what about this? That's the way they write. They write about, ooh, this is cool. Ooh, look how cool this looks.
It's like the guys who did South Park. They did an interview, and a brilliant interview on organic storytelling. I think I talked about this on a podcast before, but like good storytelling is this happened, and because it happened, this happened, and because this happened, so on and so forth until the end. Whereas bad storytelling is this happened, then this happened, then this happened.
Yeah, and I also saw this really good video on. I think you're absolutely right, honestly, because I saw this other really good video on why Batman v. One of the many reasons why Batman v Superman was a fuck up is because it was more focused on moments than scenes.
Yeah.
Like it was more and so I think that's part of it here is that they're not. There was a lot of problems with Batman v Superman, but that was one of them. Is they were, liked all these really good shots and didn't care about the scenes and they didn't really think about the events that led to those and stuff like that. They didn't, and like again using the example, they didn't really put any thought into why Batman and Superman would fight. And I think that's a lot of it here. They're not really thinking about like how these things lead into each other.
Yeah, and they don't. The whole point is the journey and why characters do things. That's why Avatar: The Last Airbender is the greatest animated show of all time. Maybe Batman the Animated Series too, but let's just say it's Avatar: The Last Airbender. Okay, let's just say it's Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's one of the two. It's one of the best TV shows. Period. Everything is great because of why characters do things. It's why Zuko is chasing after the Avatar. That's what allows him to have what's arguably one of, if not the best redemption arc in fiction. There are so many people that aren't even me that write that and make big YouTube videos about why Zuko is one of the greatest characters in fiction, period. Not even just animation, not even just TV shows. In fiction, period, he's got one of the best redemption arcs. And the reason why, it's because of the reason and the motivation behind everything that happens to him and his life. That's what matters. It's not he does this thing. Him chasing after the Avatar is not the important part. That's not what matters about Zuko. It's why he was chasing after the Avatar that mattered.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of his brilliant story arc. So,
and as far as organic storytelling goes, that's why, despite Volume 4's faults, it's the best written volume. And a lot of it has to do with how organic it was. Even at its absolute stupidest, there was a line of logic that went from one scene in an arc, from the first scene in an arc to the last in that volume. Even if you could hear the gears turning way too loudly, and you could be like, "Oh wow, that is totally just because plot."
Yeah,
there's still a reason, and it still made a little bit of sense, even if it was just a little bit of sense and not nearly enough sense. There was this lot, like you could see what the writers were going for. And I could see like why they would do the stuff like that. I don't know what the writers were thinking with this volume.
Because with I agree, because like with volume, even with Blake's arc in volume 4, you still kind of get how one thing leads to another. With this volume,
it's like like
you have no idea. You have no idea what logic is anything that the characters are doing. And half the time you just have the characters standing around waiting for the plot to come to them, and so
it's like in Volume 4, like Blake, the worst part of Volume 4 is like, okay, she ran away to start this to undergo this character arc that she's gonna have to go through, where she has to learn to stop running. The White Fang find out about her, so they send Ilya. She finds out, chases Ilya, fights Ilya, gets the scroll. That leads her to the next plot point, which is figuring out Adam's plan and trying to prevent it, which leads them to the speech, which leads them to try to recruit people, which leads Adam to make the rash decision to try to assassinate them before they even get started, which leads to the fight, which leads to her getting the support that she needed to begin with. Like, and that's actually going through Volume 5, and oh my god, just saying that, I realized Blake's arc is as bad as it is, might be the best arc in this volume.
I'm
you know,
done.
you know,
I'm disconnecting. I'm done.
No,
Nope.
no,
I'm
no, that's
kind
part
of
about-
begrudgingly inclined to agree.
I know.
Yeah.
As you were
Yeah.
saying that, I'm like, oh god damn it, he's right. That actually at
Yeah,
least follows
because
the line
she-
of
My
logic.
whole life is a
And
lie.
again, this is
My whole life is a lie. Oh
And
my
again-
god, because you're right.
and
As
again,
you
this
said
is-
that, I'm like,
yeah.
you're right.
And again, this
When
is something
the
that people
shittiest
have been.
character has the best arc in the
It didn't-
volume
I know.
in the
Yeah.
series.
It
And
didn't
again,
get
this
any
is
better
that-
from
this is
Volume 4,
something
where
that-
it was the worst.
I
So,
know.
okay,
and again, this is like kind of back to what some other people have been talking about. That Blake is clearly Miles's pet character,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so
because she is a cat.
like, and yeah, and it's
did-
like she's
he
only
did-
she's the one doing all the, and yeah, but at the same time,
by the way,
something
he did used to date the girl who voice acted for Blake. Just so you know, if that
we
means
know,
anything.
yeah, we
I know you guys know that. I'm just
So
saying.
let's. I want to bring up
Sorry.
Woen's
Yeah.
That's,
who ends question.
Yeah,
so
he does stuff
basically,
for
so it's basically a question on what we think Volume 6 will be like. So let's take off our jaded, cynical hats here, but also let's be completely honest with what do we
Okay.
expect. So let's do
Well-
let's give it how many. Okay, so let's looking back upon Volume 5. How many plot points were there actually in Volume 5? Like serious plot points. There was the White Fang shenanigans, and then the Maiden shenanigans and the Relic. So that's three main plot
in the series of reunions.
Yes, and the reunions, but yeah. So, but we could throw the reunions out the window. So we have two main plot. What will be the in everyone's humble opinion? What will be the two main plot points of the next volume?
do you want to hear what I hope or?
Gotta do both.
No. Let's everyone do it, and then we will roll into what you hope Volume 6 will. That's the
Okay.
you will see your
Because
piece.
yes, because I've done a little thing on what I think Volume 6 needs to be to work. But I think I can start first. What I think the two biggest plot points will probably be next volume will. This is partly just what I hope it's gonna be, but the bad guys making some sort of comeback that lets us know why they need to go back to Atlas, and then them arriving in Atlas and possibly them convincing Ironwood to help them.
Mm.
Because I don't know. I will say this, even
I
if
don't think it's gonna take a lot of convincing for Ironwood to help. He's
Maybe.
locking down.
Yeah.
I think,
well, like he's shown that he resents Ozpin now. So if Oscar shows up and says, "Hi, I'm the new Ozpin," he might just slam the door in his face, which I would be perfectly okay
but,
with.
like here's the thought I had. I think I was talking to High Powered on this, and I might have even it might be
Okay.
the thing that I secretly recorded and will have out here in the next few days. I'm not sure if that was it, so I'm gonna state it here. I think for Volume 6, one of the first episodes is gonna be them getting like captured by Ironwood, and he's gonna like see that they have the relic, that they have Osmond, that they have RWBY, and both teams and stuff, and he's gonna be like, "If you want my help, put on some uniforms."
I would not mind that. Yeah,
So here's
that's got me thinking like Full Metal Alchemist right now, which I am perfectly okay with. You guys are going to be my new special, are going to be like Atlas specialist or something like that. Congratulations, you're now dogs of the military. I would be fine with that.
congratulations
Because I'm a
you
big
just
Full Metal
passed
Alchemist.
buds that are now Navy SEALs. You get to do cool operator shit now.
I mean, they're probably past the level of academy students. They should be, but
so
They
here's
better be,
so
considering
this
how
is
they
the-
handled things.
whenever they say whenever the word Atlas, whenever I hear that, the first thing that came to mind for me was like, okay, this is obviously going to be like the arc of like this is going to be the start of like we're going to go on the offensive whenever it comes to Salem. So they'll probably use the relic of knowledge to do something, and so that's the first thing that comes to mind. So there's two things that I feel that'll be interesting plot points. So what I actually would hope to happen is that there's two storylines running at the same time. So I would actually prefer the bad guys doing stuff in Vacuo and trying to like claim the relic of Vacuo while they're in Atlas doing stuff in Atlas. I would be perfectly fine. Like the bad guys will become like be it like Watts or Tyrion or like
that would honestly make me laugh.
what?
If like Oz was like, we need to get to Atlas, and then Salem ends up hitting Vacuo instead.
No, like think about it like that though. Like they're sitting there trying
Maybe
to
then
get all
they'll
this
finally
stuff.
realize how useless he is.
Yeah, and so like I would prefer they start doing things in Atlas. It could also be an interesting thing. I was talking to the OC Maniac about it, where like potentially like Weiss's family drama could come up. Maybe, for example, Jock is going to is hiring criminal aspects of in Atlas to get his dust offloaded into other places because he needs
Smugglers?
the money for getting it smuggled out. Basically, like going full Narcos at this point. Like he becomes a dust kingpin by getting it all out there, and so he's working with criminals, and that could be our rumored new villain that's going to be announced in the card game. When does that card game come out? Sometime in July, right? I guess.
Can I just point out the issue of them like trying to tie in fucking card game? Like, have you lost all of your integrity and your fucking brain power? Like, so fucking idiotic. Like, there's a reason why. You gotta think about it. You're already gonna make a shitload of money, okay? Don't turn into a fucking AAA video game company with fucking loot boxes and shit like that. Because that's what they're reminding of. You know why Bill Watterson is for the most part the most respected cartoonist of all time? Because he stuck to his fucking guns and he didn't let anything corporate. He specifically fought against it. Like Harry Potter, for example. The only character, the only movie thing that ever influenced J.K. Rowling was the actress who played Luna Lovegood, because she liked her and she felt she was so much like Luna, she thought about the actress already. Everything else, she didn't listen to a fucking thing anybody else ever said or let anything other influence as much as she was merchandising. Okay? That is what you need to do, and they're doing the exact opposite of that, which can only bode poorly for the show.
Yeah.
I mean,
it only worked for Star Wars.
Because really, the thing that makes sense is
well with Star Wars, it was like this loop of I want to be really, really creative and have all this stuff, and then 20th Century Fox being
shit, I need money.
Make toys of all this stuff, and then George Lucas was like, man, I like that they're making toys of all my stuff. I'm gonna give them even more stuff to make toys of, and it was just a vicious cycle from there.
It was just a feedback loop. So the thing that makes the most sense is I feel that the Atlas arc will be. I feel it will be a good kicking off point of them deciding, like, okay, now we have, like, they'll be like, okay, we found, like, this is like pulling out a Warhammer 40k reference here, though. It's like, oh no, this bloodthirster just spawned on this planet. We gotta go grab that one Grey Knight's femur that we whittled down into a dagger and stab it with it, because that's the only thing that can actually send it back to the warp. And they basically find that thing, in the with the relic of knowledge. Like, we got to go get that shit now. So I feel like this is the Atlas arc will be the start of, like, okay, we're going to take our offensive against Salem. I would prefer counter to that, as in, like, the second big point is a Weiss, or like something with either Weiss's like family with Jock, like, doing, background deals and smuggling and stuff, or maybe even trying to, like, undermine Ironwood's power, maybe, like, making a run for office or something, like, who knows. I honestly, like, no joke, I would really like the idea that, like, as the Atlas arc is going on, they are doing stuff at the same time in Vacuo, and then they succeed in grabbing an item in Vacuo. Who knows, they might find, like, another maiden and convince Sale might convince that maiden to join with them.
Or Cinder comes back, shows up, turns out she's not dead, and just steals the power from her.
Or that too. Like, I personally, like, if Cinder is like an eldritch monster, if Cinder is an eldritch monster by the end of this, like, by once the series is over, I would be perfectly happy with that. Like, the only thing that's left of her is, like, a head. She looks like one of those demons out of fucking Devilman or something by the end of this.
Oh no!
Like she doesn't even look
You should
human anymore.
watch
That
the
would
new
be
Devilman on Netflix. There's a lot of titties in that anime. There's a lot of titties.
I don't have
It's not
Netflix.
for kids. It's not for kids.
It's not for kids, but there's a lot of titties in it though.
Yeah, this is the show that inspired like Berserk. But like for so like actually speaking of like the relic and everything like that, did anyone else like aside from how the volume ended and whatever, for some reason because it turned out to be like a lantern thing, I was expecting Yang to just like walk up to it and just like with her actual like only arm she had, just put her fist to it and just get like some like relic lantern powers. Like I had like Green Lantern vibes in my head. And it just pops out and just like wrecks people. Like it's like that's how the
I mean, it's the
just eye lasers Hazel until
it's like no. You would like
That's another thing that kind of feels like a jib is that they have the relic. We've finally seen the relic, and we still have no idea what the hell it actually does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
so
and like,
it took us till just now to complain about this because there's so much else to fucking complain about. Not to complain about
exactly.
Well, yeah, that's
And there's so much other shit that they still haven't explained.
Yang would walk up to like freaking Crow and then like for 30 seconds just vomit what the freaking like the lantern's talking to Yang now, and Yang's like, I don't want this thing in my fucking head. Get this out of here.
Can I just point out where
like
it almost
any artist in the chat, please give me like relic lantern Yang, just like with the power of knowledge or something. I don't know.
I think there's already a Red Lantern picture of her out there. But
Can I point out that
Someone,
we're almost
Hunt SD posted posted these. Anyone notice that the relics look similar to the school symbols?
Can I point out that we're
I'll have to
This
relook at
relic
it.
looks
Like,
kinda looks like the Mistral symbol, kinda.
I
okay.
point out that we're
That
almost
it is
cool, I
round
guess.
and
right
blue,
now.
and that is it.
Hey, that's close enough for most people.
yeah, that actually is.
That's
close.
cool, I guess.
But at least with that, we can like. Well, if we'd have to look the other symbols and everything like that to see.
Veil is the 2 axes, Vacuo is the 3 swords, Mantle / Atlas is the torch, and then Mistral is the blue shield.
Oh God!
Hmm.
Please don't let the relic be safety torch. Safety torch.
I've never played Dark Souls, so I don't understand. I mean, I have played it, but I haven't played it at the same time.
I've
The
played
Minecraft
Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Eldritch Monsters, the game. Oh wait, that's all the Souls games.
Yeah, it's all Souls games.
Much.
Even you.
Man.
Yeah.
Just point out that we're about like
but-
75-ish viewers right now, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were at 80 at one point.
Yeah, we were at 80 at one point. So
Yeah, sarcasm. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the Silver Eyes. We've been asking for Silver Eyes for a long time. They're just being hinted at. Like no
also-
one's, and like, even characters in the show aren't asking about it. They're just like, oh yeah, Silver Eyes. She has one.
We've stopped caring what Silver. Just like John's semblance, we've stopped.
Yeah,
caring.
we stopped caring. Like,
And
we
we
don't
are
get
at the point now with a Team Stark flashback or explanation. We've stopped caring.
Also, somebody asked earlier, and this is an excellent point. Wasn't this supposed to be the Ba Sing Se arc? Yes, it was, and it's not.
It
It
was,
just
it was not,
sucked.
And it's not.
but,
This was all. They were also supposed to focus this volumes on characters who the audience felt got neglected last volume, but they still spent But Blake still had pretty much the only slightly good arc. So, yeah, they liked it.
Blake had the
Anyway.
best arc of this volume,
Uh,
even though she was in 2 of the worst episodes.
Even though it was.
I mean, I like.
though
I
it's
like-
any
I like-
better
let's
than
be
it was
honest, like,
last volume when it was the worst.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
Let's be honest. I liked Yang's
And that tells you everything you need to know about this volume. But,
I kind of liked Yang's art, like not being biased or anything. I did like Yang's art. But
I mean,
like,
it was nice. It was just short as fuck.
So
yeah,
here's
well,
And after that, she was just sitting around waiting for things to happen, like everyone.
so
Yeah.
coming
Moving
back
on
to
its
something
own. She got
Anyway,
one.
hold on.
Sorry.
People have been bringing this up, and this is your weekly reminder. I've been saying it on the podcast, every podcast for a while, but this is your weekly reminder that RWBY has not used her semblance since she fought the Geist.
It hurts.
It's
and,
like if
the-
the Flash just forgot to run.
And it's
Oh, no.
the Intertech 9 said like Lantern of Truth, the Axes of Choice, the Sword of Destruction, the Paintbrush of Creation.
I'm pretty
There
sure.
we go.
something
Yep, we're
happens,
done.
Okay.
I don't have a
You just
choice.
did it. You just predicted all of it. There you go. Winner, winner,
Yep.
chicken dinner.
Yep.
Sure.
It's
So
10 volumes.
the acts of choice. You will do as I say. You know, you've got a compelling argument.
the acts of choice.
You make a compelling argument.
The axe of choice. I'll raise you. I'll raise your axe. A gun of choice.
That's not a choice. That's a privilege.
Yeah.
Well, this is a privilege right here. This is a right here. Minus this being 10.5 issues. The 10.5 and then the silencer is a privilege. This is a right though.
The silencer, you don't get to hear it.
Oh no, trust me, you still hear it. The best way to describe a 5.56 silencer is it sounds like an industrial.
Technically, it's supposed to. It's what you call a suppressor, not a
Whatever
silencer.
words. I use
Words.
them both.
Yeah.
People get acoustic about it at my work whenever they're like, "Oh, but it's a silencer, no suppressor, a suppressor, no silencer." So, like, dude, I just call everyone. Want to buy the damn thing or not?
Sorry. Fair enough. But yeah.
Someone brought, Donovan Walker said, I wish Lionheart had some version of the Daily, like maybe a section of Mistral Police that is Huntsman level,
Yeah.
and also under his wing, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah,
hold on.
we
This is a great conversation. Rinku said, well, so confused, based on people saying they're confused about Ruby Semblance. Who's faster, Ruby or Weiss? And then the Floof artist replied, bad writing is faster than both.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which is very true. That's an excellent point. Good
Yeah.
response.
So I want to bring up
It's
something.
supposed to be Ruby, but
I want to bring this up again, and this kind of makes me.
Ruby's got her speed. Weiss has her glyphs. My semblance is polarity.
So here's
You can
And
control
then
pulse.
people were saying that like speed isn't Ruby semblance.
So here's something I want to bring up again, and I mentioned this a few podcasts ago, especially whenever we're talking about the idea that like Raven won't survive this engagement. So as shitty as this sounds, it honestly feels like for Yang that Ruby is like the biggest thing that's pulling away her what's the word for it?
Independence.
Agency.
Agency. That's the
Agency.
word. My blood alcohol content's getting
that's.
is
I think we
removing-
talked about that issue a little while ago. That does
Yeah.
kind of feel that way, and
because
that's kind of why Yang needs to. Because, like, you're kind of right, and that's been an issue for a while.
does Yang just need a
And-
boyfriend or a girlfriend? To
I
solve
think
this
she
issue?
just
Yes.
needs to start being the. Probably, but also I think she
I-
just needs to start being the big sister of the group, so
I
that
think she needs
She
Banana
needs to be
Split.
Team Mon. Yeah, no,
needs-
Banana Split's
she
the
needs-
actual answer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
chat,
is the
chat. What do you
answer to
guys
all
think
of our
about like
problems.
what do you guys think about Yang's agency? Like what do you think she needs to do?
'Cause I feel that Ruby robs
She needs
Yang
to
of her
start-
agency.
a
'Cause if
little
she-
bit, because she is definitely devoted to Ruby, and she does a lot of what she does for Ruby. And now with Raven gone, a big part of her work is going to be doing what Ruby needs.
I
And
think-
so,
I think
if
it-
she
Let's hope
and
so.
that's the thing.
You never know with these writers. She could just go after her mom again or something. You never know.
I think if they want Yang to have agency, they need to have an arc similar to like what I had, where Ruby like definitively surpasses her, and then Yang starts feeling like Ruby doesn't need her anymore,
Yeah,
and she gets defensive about that because Ruby's like being Ruby's like
Yeah.
protector is like her entire identity, and so like her whole world starts crashing down when Ruby doesn't need her anymore, and then Ruby is also like, I
Yeah.
don't need you anymore. I don't need you to fight my battles like I used to, and that causes like an actual divide where Yang and Ruby have to get some time away from each other.
maybe.
I feel that
yeah.
this is the one part where it's like I kind of wish that Raven died and Yang got the maiden powers, because then I'm sitting there. It's like,
Because
well,
then
Yang
Yang
gets the
would
maiden
be-
powers, and she becomes everyone's big sister.
Yeah, and also it would be, and it could be a nice little
I want her
reversal
to
of
be my
roles, kind of
Oni-chan.
where all of a sudden Ruby is having to keep, where all of a sudden everyone's goal is to keep Yang alive and stuff like
I
that,
broke media for
Which
just
would
a
be-
split second there.
which could be an interesting thing. Also, if like Yang is the first one to become a maiden and everyone's like trying to keep her safe, and she's like, I feel like that would be a major separation from her comfort zone and stuff like that. Like, this is weird. I'm used to being the one who has to take care of everyone, but now everyone is taking care of me. This is weird. I don't like this. But I do agree that I think there needs to be a point where Yang and RWBY need to disagree on something. And
Probably
to be
Osman.
fair, to be fair, I don't think we need this right away. Like,
no, like right now.
But there should be a point where Yang and RWBY have something of a little falling out, and they possibly like, and like RWBY asserts that she's the adult now, and possibly even I'm the leader of this whole thing, because she does need to be the leader of everything. She does need to be the one calling the shots. It cannot be Oscar. And Yang like has a problem with something that she does, and just seeing where that goes. So yeah.
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't want it like anytime soon. I want it to build. I want it to be a slow burn with this, because since the beginning, the only like interesting thing about Yang has been her relationship to RWBY, and as well as other characters, but mostly RWBY, and also and then her mom, with starting with Volume 2.
And Raven, and
when they revealed that, like,
well, then they fucked that up.
Yeah, and now that thing with Raven is pretty much done, and it wasn't all that great.
That aspect up.
It could still go somewhere.
It could still go somewhere, but they have fucked it up this volume. It's not as good as it should be.
It's gotten off to a rocky. If this is the start of it, then it's gotten off to a very rocky start.
I'm fine with Raven's character being reset, although it makes her character dramatically less interesting than what it used to be.
Like a mother, like daughter, that's kind of what they did with Yang too.
As Sokka would say, would you say that RWBY and Yang should have a rocky relationship? Or it's Raven and Yang. Does Raven and Yang have a rocky relationship?
The way they mishandled it, and this is like really just, we can easily zero in on it, and we've been saying it since the first podcast for this volume, is the fact that they kind of made Yang's plot in the first half of this volume convoluted, because instead of just looking for RWBY and happening upon Raven, they had her look for Raven to get to RWBY.
To get to RWBY,
even though she could have just gone to Mistral and found her.
Yeah, the reason they
which was still something that we liked, and they still did a nice job of explaining why she had to do that.
I think it would have been a lot stronger had she just been on her way to Mistral and then happened to cross Raven for whatever reason.
Perhaps.
And wasn't even like planning on it, and so would have gotten like caught off guard.
Which I mean she kind of, well, no, not really, never mind.
No, she didn't. It would have been better.
Because she was actively looking for Raven to find RWBY, but yeah.
Yeah, they just kind of like, they tried to fake us out with that. It was a little weird. It just mostly just confused us.
I mean, it was one of those things where like they had to make her being Raven look deliberate and stuff like that for some reason, but yeah. I don't know.
Jack of many names. Well, true. I was about to say, I was like, wait, the CCT's down, but then like the short range communication's kind of working.
Yeah.
Bro got a phone call from Lionheart just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
So it's like there's like the short term thing. It's like she could have, but
short range.
But actually need the scroll number. I don't know. It's the whole thing. You have to go to the headmaster.
So wait,
it's weird.
Are we still talking about what we think is going to happen next volume? Right.
We can.
I'm just gonna bet like a lot.
We're kind of doing that just off the cuff, but
yes, I was gonna say
we'll probably do a podcast, like a dedicated podcast for.
We'll do a dedicated.
Because
I had some things that I wanted to talk about with that.
Let's go to what Robert has to say, which I'm probably pointing to the wrong person right now.
No, you're pointing you're pointing on the right spot.
That's good. Plus, I might not be able to be here for those podcasts, depending on when you hold them, because I'm going to be busy for a couple of weeks, because I'm starting a new job. But anyway, so what I think they need to do to fix RWBY next volume, the bad guys need to make a comeback. I have written here in the first few episodes, maybe not either, but they need to come back and they need to own all the bitches. And by that I mean they need to own like they need to own probably need to own some of the main characters. They need to
fuck some shit up.
They need to fuck some shit up. They need to kill some. They need to be on some characters that we care about, and that have kind of like what we talked about with the Grimm. They need to be some characters that actually matter, that have been established as a legitimate threat. And the good guys can still put up a good fight. Like, the fights can still be interesting. Jean needs to fucking top decapitating the Ursa as his most badass moment, but they still lose. And they can, and like, I don't know. A part of me almost feels like in the first few episodes, the bad guys can show up to try and get the relic because it's out in the open now. It's like, now would be a pretty easy time for them to go and get it, but they don't necessarily have to get it. But it needs to end. I've been saying this for a long time, but it needs to end with Crow and Ozpin crippled and or dead. Like, they need to. Those two need to be taken out of the equation. Team RWBY. The show needs to become Team RWBY versus Salem again.
Yeah, and we need to know why these things matter. Like, why do these matter? We've said this before. It's so vague. Like, it's going to be bad if Salem. Why? Why is it going to be bad?
We need to know what the. We need to know what the Relic of Knowledge does. We need to know what Silver.
One of the first things,
and we need to know why Salem wants RWBY and why she wants the relic.
We should have had a taste of what the Relic of Knowledge does, like this episode.
Or at least some sort of
Yang
hint.
touches it, just has like a fucking like flashback, like freaking Doctor Strange moment as like being flung through an LSD trip.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, like,
that movie was dope.
Lord of the Rings, the One Ring of Power, never really got explained like what exactly it does. It just has effects and is kind of inconsistent.
Makes you invisible, weighs you down, grows heavy and grows if it needs to,
But here's the thing. Sauron wants it. He needs it in order to get back to life. That's all we need to know, because one of the first things we see in Lord of the Rings is full-powered Sauron wasting an entire army.
Yeah, and he's terrifying. Yeah, exactly. So we need some sort of explanation of why Salem needs those people. Cinder needs to be among these bad guys that comes back, and she should go after Yang. And I would almost like a scene where she says to RWBY, Salem wants you alive, but only just, or like, and maybe even gouges out one of RWBY's eyes. Like,
would you prefer?
Like, we've got those. What are they called? Fan art thing. We got the fan art of RWBY with an eye patch. I would be totally fine with that. Like, I don't know. She yanks out one of RWBY's eyes, maybe, and like also beats on Yang and stuff like that to be like, and maybe also goes after Yang, like, your mother gave me a whole lot of shit, and I'm taking it out of your ass because she's not around or something.
That sounds like something from one of my hentais.
Yeah.
It's very true.
So actually, I honestly wouldn't. I would be perfectly fine as like a midpoint in like Volume 6 is where like Tyrion and Hazel and like Cinder show up and Patch to like.
Yeah, they all need to come back. Like Hazel, Tyrion, Hazel, and Wad. They need to show why they need to come back to and show why they're a threat.
I want what's. You see, this is what I wish what the Volume 6 stinger was. Is just Watts stepping off of a little plane or whatever, and he's like, fixes his his shirt or whatever, and he's like, man, it sure does feel good to be back home. That would have been.
And like they go after.
Magnifico. Perfect.
Yeah, like if the bad guys go, if the bad guys go after Tai Yang and Raven, I would be totally fine with that, and like maybe that's where Raven dies and Yang just randomly becomes the Spring Maiden and has that moment of, oh, she just died. My mother just died and stuff like that.
Wait, who else just died?
Yeah, like that moment, and doesn't even know that her father died too or something. I don't know. But Adam also needs to come back, and he needs to literally bitch slap Blake and Sun. Like, okay, you're gonna axe handle me? Here's bitch slaps for both of you to reassert that I am a badass and I am a threat.
Must reassert dominance.
Yeah, exactly. He needs to reestablish his dominance. And possibly, and I think also, Blake possibly asks this is going to go into another thing that I think needs to happen. Blake asks Yang for help, and Yang doesn't do squat.
Oh,
Because
I love that.
despite that hug at the end of this volume, Yang has not forgiven Blake, and I think that should be part of like Blake needs her own little mini arc. We're not going to spend too much time on it because we spent enough time on Blake. Of Blake trying to earn Yang's forgiveness. That is her arc. That is what she's doing.
Yeah, and this kind of goes into just me being probably too optimistic than I should be, or more optimistic than I should be. But I hope that the reason why, like, the fact that the RWBY reunion was only a minute is always gonna just be dumb. But I think they're trying to save the more dramatic parts of that because, like, they just got done with the big fight. Granted, one that was off screen, but like they're just kind of in the moment. But they're just kind of in the moment and stuff, so they're just like hugs, and then when that adrenaline wears off, then they're going to have to deal with those issues, and they're going to do that at the beginning of Volume 6.
I mean,
I want Volume 6.
Blake will be like, it's like, I'll go run this mission by myself, and Yang's like, you ain't going by yourself, I'm coming with you.
Yeah,
no, I'll do that. No, I will do that mission for you. You get to stay here. I'll do it for you. You're gonna get lost again, and I'm gonna have to put up a whole bunch of signs looking for a shitty kitty.
Yeah, or like you're gonna try and run again, or don't run off again, or something like that. Yeah, like I think Volume 6 needs to be Blake trying to earn Yang's forgiveness and stuff like that. And possibly also with Adam. If the comeback takes place in Mistral, have him kill someone. Like I don't know, maybe Sun, maybe Ilya, maybe Gira, or just like he should kill someone to again reestablish that he is a legitimate threat. That all the bad guys are legitimate threats, and again back to Oscar getting crippled. Hazel I would be fine if Hazel does that. Tyrion, I want him to come back, stalk Jean, and give us at least some sort of hint of why he was interested in him in Volume 4. I think it would be cool if Tyrion kind of becomes Jean's new nemesis because Cinder is out of Jean's league or something like that. Because she should be Ruby's nemesis. Like that's what we've been expecting. Like Jean has had his moment of hashing things out with Cinder and proving that he doesn't stand a chance. I think Tyrion would be a nice nemesis for Jean to work up to eventually defeating. And Watt needs to come in and prove that he's a threat. Weiss, Emerald, Ren, Nora, Mercury, the Grimm need to come back and actually be a thing. And I will say this. Possibly if Cinder is dead, maybe have just because we know. I don't know. It sucks that Jessica. It sucks for Cinder's character to go like that, but at the same time, Jessica Negri is not a good voice actress, and she's just and
that's true.
I don't know. Her character has been bland. Possibly, if it might be time for just replace her with Emerald. I know, I hate that they essentially replaced Adam with Ilya, but possibly replace her with Emerald and have her just do everything because Emerald has a lot of potential as a character that hasn't quite all gone to waste, and she can hit a lot of the same beats, hating Yang and hating RWBY because they killed the only person she ever cared about. So that's, I don't know, maybe have her become the new Fall Maiden and have her become a new threat. Maybe. I think they should just bring Cinder back, but maybe Emerald taking her place wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But then they also, and so, I don't know, so
it would
Blake
just
has her small side
render
arc.
a lot of the build-up pointless.
Yeah, but as they've proven this volume, they don't care build up. So, but you are right. Like that would still, I don't know. Either way, it would still have some major issues. There would be issues no matter what they do. Maybe they just need to get Jessica Negri some voice acting classes.
That's the problem, and it kind of speaks to how bad this volume was. That most of what Robert said, and I agree with a decent amount of it. A lot of it was just retconning. Like, you're basically saying they need to retcon a ton of stuff that happened.
They're gonna retcon the fuck out
kind
of
of, yeah, is honestly what I'm feeling like. Because you're absolutely right. With the bad guys, they probably need to kind of maybe even just wipe the slate clean, start doing some actual power scaling, and just make the villains a legitimate threat again. Because you're right. That's kind of feels like that's what they require right now. But
yeah, because
just a couple more, or sorry, just a couple more
go for it.
things throughout their volume. Like, and this is why I think they should remove Oscar and Crow, cripple them early on in the volume, because I want this volume to be RWBY struggling with the fact
tied up in politics for Volume 6.
Something like that. Just have RWBY struggling with being in charge again, struggling with her responsibilities, and the fact that she's in overhead. Have Yang and Jean there kind of reassuring her. I think that should be Jean's main arc, is just being a good supporting character to RWBY and stuff like that, and helping Yang out. I would like to see Weiss dealing with some family issues again, and I think a nice thing that they can do to let us know, like, this is assuming that they realize everything they've done wrong this volume, but to start treating their villains and their less popular characters and their antagonistic characters like real people again, is possibly try and make us sympathize with Whitley and humanize him, even if it still ends with him, and this is just one of my headcanons, something that I want to see. This is strictly what I would do, is even if Whitley ends up being a bad guy, turns out to be working with Salem directly and overthrowing Jock and stuff like that, becoming a major villain. That's just a fun little thing that I'd like to see. Still, try to make him a more sympathetic character, make him someone that we kind of feel sorry for. And also, Winter and Mama Schnee need to make an appearance. And maybe having
Yeah, I'm still peeved that we never got her mom in Volume 4.
Wasn't
and maybe if...
wasn't Willow, they casted a voice actor for Willow and everything. I think Willow...
They did?
Or
I thought they didn't.
I didn't hear anything about that.
They said that for Neo,
but
voice actor.
I didn't hear anything about that. But, and also if...
And by the way, to address, before anyone, I'm sure people have asked this in the chat, Neo, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, I don't care anymore.
I mean, I agree with Robert about the whole getting Crow and Oscar tied up in politics, because who was it that said... Somebody said that it would have been better if Oscar just stayed dead, and the show would be better if it was just the kids, actually...
Something needs... Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right, it was me.
Something needs to happen that makes the show...
I can see it on your face when you're about to say something really facetious, because you do the
Yep.
Yeah, something needs to happen that makes this show about Team RWBY versus Salem again, not Ozpin versus Salem, Team RWBY versus Salem. That needs to be the conflict.
Yeah.
And also, if they do decide to do White Knight, or even if they don't maybe if they just decide to keep having Jean be a good supporting character again, possibly having a nice little scene of him and Weiss kind of bonding or discussing family issues. I think that could be a nice scene.
I think somebody made a possibly good point. Sorry, go ahead. Never mind. I'll bring it up later. Sorry. My bad.
And then also just possibly a sub-arc of Raven trying to patch things up with Tai Yang, but again, I wouldn't mind if
him patching things up and patch.
I'm glad you guys caught that one.
No, that needs to be a little chibi skit where Raven's just trying to win back Tai.
Yeah, maybe that is what they need to do.
You could do it to me now.
Stands outside his window playing a Peter Gabriel song.
She
just let me in. Please take me back. I'm sorry, or something.
You went out for cigarettes. I have my brand.
She's outside of his
I think that would be
with her radio.
Yeah, but
emo music.
And again, and possibly have her trying to patch things up, and I don't know, that might be potentially really sad actually if we see, Raven struggling to patch things up with Ty and stuff like that, and just when it seems like she might actually succeed, like the bad guys show up and she dies and stuff
kills
like that.
Ty.
Yeah, like just that tragedy of
that would be good.
That would be so heartbreaking, but it would be so good.
And then she has to
Anyways,
deliver
so
news to Yang.
and then the spring power, and then the spring maiden powers go to Yang, and she's just like, oh shit, and then finds out your dad's also dead. You just like just that heartbreaking moment, and then and then Renora, just have them be together, just have them being cute and adorable and together, because we all know they're in love. They know they're in love. Just
you're not.
You can have.
There's no dramatic tension here. You're just
exactly. There's no dramatic tension on their relationship. Just let it be, and you can because you can have nice moments of couples just being couples. You can have those moments. It doesn't have to be like. Will they, won't they is not the only interesting thing about it in relationships.
We're not talking about massive make-out session.
Clearly,
dude is about Renora, but like
clearly the writers have never watched Parks and Recreation, because Parks and Recreation is, first of all, fucking amazing. It's one of the best sitcoms ever made. And the thing is with Parks and Recreation, they do some drama with getting the couples together. Once the couples are together and they're married, that's it. And they're together and they're cute and it's entertaining. And the things that matter, the dramatic tension, are other things like their careers and the politics and things like that.
Yeah.
Like when
White Collar, I feel, has a really nice married relationship in there.
Yeah, like Leslie and Ben, they get married and there's not a lot of relationship bullshit drama, say for a couple episodes. It's about the political careers and stuff like that. When they're in their relationship,
and then balancing those in their married life. Yeah, exactly.
Even better than that is April and Andy, Chris Pratt and I forget her name, but she's not in as many things as Chris Pratt. But they're hilarious together, and once they're together,
they are fantastic.
Is their careers and stuff like that, and them supporting each other,
and just them being two doofuses who don't know how to adult.
Yeah, exactly. And that's great. Yeah. And then we can focus on Leslie and the career and the that works. That show was brilliant. And does anybody ever complain about anything from Parks and Recreation? Pretty much no.
Nothing like serious.
Yeah, nothing serious. You watch stuff like
I know people who don't like the way it's shot and edited and stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. But you know what I'm saying? Like you watch stuff like How I Met Your and even The Office. Like people complain about how long Jim and Pam took. Like that was dumb. Even people who love The Office, I've heard that complaint. How I Met Your Mother. Way too much will they, won't they, what's going on. And
we don't need the will they, won't they for Ren and Nora. Just let them be together.
The Big Bang Theory is another example of that. It's just like, stop dragging it on. Like
Big Bang Theory, the Nickelback of sitcoms.
That is 100% accurate. The Big Bang Theory is the Nickelback of sitcoms.
Yeah, and also possibly let it give us some backstory on where Nora came from before Kurogiri and stuff like that. Like if they,
I don't think any of that matters.
I still think
if they even know.
What media? What Robert said? No. What dude said about how her life, Nora's life was beginning at the absolute lowest point of Ren's life.
Yeah,
that's what I said.
That
last
was
right?
I said it in my shipping video and also my review of Kurogiri.
Yeah, that was a good point. So
that was such a good episode.
That's a maybe. So.
What happened? The Kurogiri, that episode was so fucking good, and then this happened.
I blame Lionheart.
And maybe
I blame Miles and Carrie.
Yeah,
I mean that's also, probably to do, but
so as far as Sun goes for next volume, I'm maybe leave him in Mistral because it feels like there's we're talking about how there are too many bodies and stuff like that. And
I actually like Sun though.
I like Sun too. I do. I like Sun. I'm liking Black Sun
with Teen Ranger. There we go.
Maybe, yeah. Just sticking with Teen Ranger. Maybe I don't know. I guess I can see some goofy things that he can do. Like, I do see him like the goofiness of them going to Atlas and him being like a vacuo boy in Atlas and just like wearing like a million layers or something like that. Like I can see that happening. I think that'd be funny.
But the
And
abs.
maybe like him try like I don't know.
Trying to pick up hot Elysian noble chicks.
I don't know, or maybe just him trying to like kind of. I'm sure that the shippers will lose their shit over this probably, but maybe have him like try and patch things and help Blake to patch things up with Yang and stuff like that. Like again, him just being a good supporting, like just have him be a good supporting character and helping.
Banana split. It's the OT.
Yeah, just something like that. So I don't know. So those are the big things.
That is
the bad guys need to come back. They need to come back with.
Show is Banana Split.
Yeah, those are the big things that need to happen next month. Bad guys need to come back with a vengeance and prove that they are still a threat. And the good guy and like Team RWBY needs to be the main characters again. And John, Red, Nora, and Sun need to be good supporting characters. And Oscar and Crow just need to go away.
Yeah,
it's like,
and I love Crow, but even I agree with that. Crow, go away. Can we focus on the kids? Speaking of OT3s, though, that reminds me of my favorite line from Media's last, the Just Act Maturely, where they said, "Who hasn't fucked Yang?" And then they look at Ren, and Ren's like, "It was Nora's idea." That was so good. That was so fucking good. That made me laugh. That was the hardest I laughed. And I'm a hardcore like Renora person, but even I was like, "Oh my god, that's the funniest thing you've written."
It was Nora's idea.
Hey, you could blame Act Maturely directly on me. That was my fault. And
thank you.
And I will add on that I do think what we talked about earlier, like Salem showing up in Atlas and actually doing shit. I think that would be good.
I have to disagree with something in the chat real quick. Somebody said, "Can we please see Jean?" Please, fuck no. We do not need to see Jean's family.
I think it could be interesting. The problem is that he's got 7 sisters, and that would just be overload.
Yeah, that'd be over.
They're gonna pick 7 random female interns and be like, "We need you to read these lines right now. Or we're firing."
That's another thing.
Yeah,
that's.
I'm mostly curious about his dad. Like, and maybe this is where
I'd be fine with seeing his dad.
Yeah, and potentially this is like what, like this is what I think would be
disappointing.
This is this is my headcanon of what interested in him is that he knows Jean's dad and they have some sort of history and like he wants to get revenge on Jean's dad through proxy. So maybe we start hinting at Jean's dad as a character and stuff like that.
No, Jean's dad is the Batman to Tyrion's Joker, and Tyrion is actually like fascinated with him.
I don't know, but like, and like, just
having more characters. Let's just focus on this like 6 or whatever it is that matter, or 7.
Well, like, okay, introduce Jean's dad and kill him off very quickly at.
Okay, that's fine. There you go. That's fine. I can sign off on that.
So then he's Jean's problem. Like that's something that I would like to happen, and this doesn't have to happen this like in volume 6, but over a period of time, I would like to see Jean's dad appear. We get some sort of idea of like what their dynamic was, what Jean feels like he has to live up to, and then Jean's dad dies, and Jean's new thing becomes avenging him, and he actually does avenge him, unlike the whole Pyrrha thing.
You know what would be interesting, and I said this in podcasts past. I want a Parents' Day skit in RWBY Chibi, but on top of that, an amendment to that.
We kind of got that last.
An amendment to that, though, I want them to actually introduce some characters through that. I want them to actually introduce like Jean's parents in Chibi. I want them to introduce characters in Chibi, like not just.
That could be fun, or just keep them, or maybe just introduce them there, and that's the only place we ever see them.
It would keep
that'd be fun. I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with that.
Because right now, like I like RWBY Chibi season 2, but they were kind of running out of ideas to do with the characters.
Yeah,
I really hope Raven shows up in.
If they do things like that, we're gonna get like that one comic where like all the characters are looking at like Jean's like childhood photos, and it's usually like him and Adrez, or him like.
And then Pyrrha's just hemorrhaging blood.
Yeah, it's just like it's all his sisters just showing like all his friends and Pyrrha and everything like that. We're just gonna get like that kind of thing. I think it'd be kind of cute though.
Yeah.
God. Oh man, I think we could get ready to pretty much start wrapping it up now, and then we'll just have to get ready for.
Yeah, the problem is for me is that I can't even, besides all the retconning stuff, I can't even think of what would make the next volume good. Because if they don't retcon a ton of it, it's gonna be bad, even if it's kind of good. Because they've ruined so much.
Yeah, exactly. So that is. So yeah, to save the show, they kind of need to destroy it first, and they kind of need to just retcon things. So
that's what I feel like this.
But you got to do what you got to do, and I still want this show to be good.
I feel like this. So I brought this up like early on. Like
I want to care about White Renora again.
I feel like this was like a soft reboot to the to the whole series. Is what they were doing this because they were resetting.
Volume 4 kind of was that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought that volume.
It looks like they're probably gonna need another one.
Here's the thing. So this is the finale. We're kind of talking about volume 4 or volume 5 rather as a whole. The volume 4 finale was not a bad episode for RWBY. In fact, overall, as an episode of RWBY, it was kind of middle of the road. It was like in that mid range for RWBY. A bad episode for television, or bad episode for like a web series, but for RWBY standards, it was meh. It was just an awful finale. It's just the worst finale episode.
I feel like the best thing I have to say about this finale is Illusion Salem was pretty scary for this animation style. I even have to add on that caveat. For this type of animation, it was as scary as it could be.
It's like I know Nemesis just laughed at it. It's just like, what is this? It seemed cartoonish.
It's kind of goofy looking.
It was as good as they could get it. Same with the Knucklave. It was as scary as it could be with this animation.
Yeah, but the sound quality did help.
I wish RWBY would go goofy more.
The sound helped it make it a little bit better, to make it pretty creepy.
The
fingers just snapping and stuff like that was kind of creepy.
Yeah, but that's like the best I can say about it.
My only positive is I kind of respect and sympathize with Yang a little bit more after the end of this episode. That's literally the only positive thing I can say about it. So
Yang was okay this episode,
Yeah, everything else was bad.
Yeah.
This episode,
it's like in my review, I was like, this episode didn't make me want to destroy something.
I think I'm pretty on point whenever I say that the ending of this volume was like safe, and it's safe in the absolute worst possible way.
Yeah, safe as in Miles and Carrie were cowards and
cowardly.
Just playing it extremely safe. Yeah, exactly.
But I think we can.
Devin Holmes made a good point. Worse than Volume 2. Worse than Volume 2's finale. It was the worst volume. It was definitely the worst volume.
Unpopular opinion. Coffee might have made this better.
How?
That feeling Coffee shows up and cleans up shop for them, and they just leave.
Maybe they could have made it better by showing up and dying.
Yeah, that would have been better.
I didn't say how they were going to help.
Well, here's the thing. As much as I rag on that episode, and it is, up to this point, it was the worst of the volume finale, the worst of the first 4 volume finales.
Yeah.
With volume 3 being far and away the best of the finales. It's top 5 episodes for me.
Mm-hmm.
There was stuff in it to enjoy, mostly after the action was over.
Yeah.
Like,
they left you. There were things to look forward to. You knew that the villains were. You knew that the villains were going to come back, and you knew they were going to come back strong. Unlike this volume.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's like everything got wrapped up way too nice and tidy halfway through Breach. But then they did like the RWBY scene where they're like sitting at the docks or whatever. They had the Ironwood taking over security and being like, "You brought this on yourself, Ozpin." You had Adam being like,
Cinder calling the day a success. Yeah.
Yeah. The Donovan Walker just said the police from this volume was the Team Coffee. Which is kind of
yeah.
Which is kind of true.
Eat coffee and donuts, damn it.
Leave it to Stock to turn into a pun.
Yeah. But yeah, this was not a great finale.
Nope.
It has
It was a lousy end to a lousy volume.
Yes.
Yes.
To the worst.
It had a lot of promise, and there's some good points to it, but
This volume got off to a decent start, but then it just
It did. The start was seen very promising.
Yeah, floof. I said they should have just put 13 and 14 into the same episode, like I said, like a while, like.
Oh, there was so much they should have condensed, though.
there was so much of
cut
this.
out episode 5 and 7.
This volume could probably
there's no point in this
reasonably
being 14
improve with
episodes
some
long.
editing.
This volume could have been like 8 episodes on.
14 episodes was a mistake.
I mean, I like having the episodes, but at the same time, when things don't happen, like when you get the 5 and 7, then yeah,
You get the feeling that they just did that partly to satisfy the fandom and probably also to have the
satisfy the
Thanksgiving
absolute
episode land
force.
on Thanksgiving and John Semblance land on Joan of Arc's birthday, probably.
There's that little tidbit too. But I know I would rather have longer episodes than just like wake up
longer
really early
I've
before
said
work.
this before. I'm actually against
Just watch
RWBY
15
having.
minutes.
I'm actually against RWBY having longer episodes.
The episodes
Because
need
you
to be
don't
as
know
long
how
as they
to-
need to be.
Because even with just the 15-minute runtime, there's so much padding.
Yeah.
Heck, they could probably do with a few shorter episodes.
I
but
want them to have
the
the
thing is-
option of 20-minute episodes at
Yeah,
least.
yeah.
But
One of the things that has made RWBY such a success and so popular is the fact that you can watch the series. Like right now, you can watch the series in its entirety in like a day.
Easy
Yeah.
You
peasy.
can watch all 5 volumes in like a day, maybe 2 now because this volume was almost twice as long as volume 1. But not
And it
quite.
feels like nothing happened though. It
I
feels
kind
like
of
more
have that
happened.
opinion of volume 2, but I have that same opinion of volume 5 as well. But
Yeah.
Volume 2 was just as bad in that regard. The thing that made Volume 2 better, in my opinion, better than Volume 1, was the little character moments. Stuff like RWBY
Yeah.
talking with Ozpin, Yang talking with Blake.
Yeah.
The whole, like, scene where Jean is talking to Rain while he's wearing the towel, and Nora's, like,
Yes.
right there.
Yes, that one was a great scene.
You know, Weiss in the elevator. Weiss with the white
Yeah.
rose, like, trying to keep it up. The dance
there were
number.
really none of those this volume.
There wasn't.
There was the one.
None of those
there was-
little subtle moments.
Well, the
there was one.
hug with Yang and Weiss, I think.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I
the
think
Yang
that
and
was like
Weiss
the only legitimately great moment in
Yes.
this volume.
And
Yeah.
and what I say, it was a Weiss moment. Weiss being an awesome character, like that's.
Yeah, I
that's
think
just-
Weiss has taken over as the best character on the show.
Oh yeah, without for me, it's been like
This
that.
volume
before
killed
this volume.
RWBY.
I think
That's why, if nothing else happens, RWBY needs to be the leader again next
yeah.
volume.
Rinku-san asked, "Curious, how does RWBY Volume 3 compare to the other top anime?" Unfair comparison, and I'm planning
unfair.
on doing a video on this sometime or addressing this in another video sometime. But RWBY is on a different scale than major anime, and so it's unfair to actually expect that level of quality or that level of technical work.
Yeah.
Like writing costs nothing, so it being terribly written, that's why we compare the writing to like Avatar and My Hero Academia and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But animation wise, the comparison I make is
And just
T-
general
is
quality.
is TV to movie animation. Like My Hero Academia has some of the best animation I've seen on television from a
Yeah.
technical standpoint, and even that can barely compare to even the absolute worst of Hollywood animation. It doesn't have the time, it doesn't have the manpower, it doesn't have the budget, it doesn't have the tools necessary for it. so you would have
And
like,
RWBY
and RWBY
compared
is
to My
below
Hero
that.
Academia.
RWBY
Yeah.
comparing RWBY to My Hero Academia is like comparing My Hero Academia to
Pixar.
Pixar. Yeah.
I could probably make
To
some
The Incredibles.
Yeah, I'm planning on doing a video sometime
That's
in the
actually a good comparison. I kind of want to do a video comparing My Hero Academia to The Incredibles now.
Yeah,
actually
I'm planning on doing a video sometime in the future once I've sufficiently made sure that once I have sufficiently separated my YouTube channel from like RWBY and stuff like that, so I don't have to keep watching due to professional obligation if it keeps going downhill like this.
Yeah.
Sorry, media.
Like how media's covering his face.
Sorry, media, but like your situation is have the problem on my channel. But on my channel, I'm probably going to do a video sometime in the future talking about everything that My Hero Academia does right that RWBY does wrong. Because there are comparisons to be made, but they're mostly comparisons of how RWBY is
worse.
Is nowhere near as good as My Hero Academia. Comparing the two is kind of pathetic.
Which leads to the whole
In
thing.
all honesty. So as far as Volume 3 goes, as far as like tournament arcs go, it's probably one of the worst out there. The Chunin exams in Naruto, the tournament arc in My Hero Academia, they are far, far superior.
I kind of feel like comparing RWBY to My Hero Academia is not a fair because Horikoshi is just a god right at this current moment.
He's really good. Yeah,
he's just really fucking good. Oh, but you need to link your YouTube because you've got a couple videos you can put in the chat.
Huh?
Yeah, Robert.
I'm talking to you,
YouTube
Robert.
channels.
I thought I did. I've
If
been
you can.
linking them.
I mean, you might have, but chat's always scrolling, and we have way more people than I'm used to in these chats. Like,
well, I've also been posting them on
on Facebook,
on our
and stuff.
Facebook group and stuff like that. But okay, I'll post them on here again. I guess
just post one of them and be like, hey, check this out, whatever. Yeah. So that they know, so that the people in the
are
chat
people asking about that in the
I'm just saying because right
now Soriel is in the chat and arguing with people as he does.
Okay.
Yeah. I forgot where.
Well, he's right about this last comment. Half the songs are amazing and half the songs are bland. Fits every single season soundtrack. I'd pretty much agree with that, actually.
Yeah.
That I actually agree with.
How many new songs have we even gotten so far this volume?
Like none. Actually, like very few.
So we got the three trailer songs. So we got the 3 trailer songs. Then we got the one for Cinder and Raven, for Cinder vs. Raven, and then we got 2 in the finale episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what 6 songs, which is I think the average is 8. I think the average for this point is 8. And then they'll usually do like 1 or 2 songs that they write afterwards, and and we also got the opening. Completely forgot that the opening even exists because my god, it never grew on me, guys. I'm sorry, it never grew on me.
Yeah, I still don't even remember half like the lyrics and stuff like that from that. So yeah.
Yeah, and to answer your question, and they've already been asked about like why they keep doing the cliffhangers, and that's for people to have something to look forward to in the next episode.
Next time,
I know.
Dragon Ball Z.
Speaking of cliffhangers,
that reminds me, Dragon Ball Super is ending, so I'm gonna have to do a video on that.
Yeah. Speaking of cliffhangers, I think it's time that we shut this down.
Yeah, we've gone on for a pretty long while.
Okay.
I need to go to bed. I have work tomorrow.
Same here. I got to work a double. Thanks everyone for coming to the
thanks everyone for putting up with our combined autism.
With our massive complaining.
Wait, there's 5 of us. We could actually be all the 5 elements called like Captain Bullshit.
We peaked at what, like 85?
Yeah, something
we
like
peaked at 84, which is
No
I think
about
that's the best
80
we've had
ti-
so
which is
far, right?
about
Or
10
you've
time
had, I
10,
guess.
10 times more than I'm used to. Usually I'm used to like peaking with like 10 on my
We'll get there.
streams.
You'll get there.
Oh man, I'm at I've also like picked up like 7 subscribers since we started.
It's a
Yeah,
hot, spicy meme.
that's what's up. We gotta do this. We
Yeah.
gotta do it this way more than shit.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Apparently,
man.
people
do more
like
live stuff
listening to
together.
us.
Ugh. Man.
Oh, yeah.
So if you like, we're gonna shut it down. I'm gonna post that link to the Discord real
Yep.
quick. I am Mediocrity4. I have this YouTube channel. Like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you all for joining us. And I also have a fanfiction account that you can all check out. We also have a Facebook page and a Discord.
They're all dope.
Posted that right now. And then I also have videos planned for the future. I have my next video already recorded. It's Honest Look at Ozpin. And then
Ooh.
I've actually had that recorded for a while, just sitting there waiting for this volume to be over.
You better dump on him.
I am.
Okay,
I have
good.
like a
Alright.
dozen other
Cool.
Honest Looks in RWBY planned. I also plan on doing some videos on other stuff like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Dragon Ball Super,
Superman,
Boruto.
we'll talk.
Yeah, Superman. I was also thinking about doing a Spider-Man video. I was reading some Spider-Man comics on my daily route today, and I kind of felt inspired to start writing up a script for a Spider-Man video. But yeah, I kind of want to
Spider-Man's got
expand.
some cool stuff.
I kind of want to expand outside of RWBY and not just be known as the honest-looking RWBY guy. So please subscribe because Google is about to like screw over every single small channel.
Yeah.
Yep. And I also have a YouTube channel called Tides of Glory, and currently I have 3 videos out there called Character Interpretations. I'm going to work on something a little outside of that for probably by this time next week is my plan. But the next video that I want to put out is a kind of a compare and contrast, mostly just this is why Game of Thrones is so much better than The Walking Dead, particularly focusing on the way they deal with death. So
you've talked about this before. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, keep you guys' eyes open for that video next week. So, yeah.
The only stuff I have is I have a book that I'm working very hard on that is not out for release yet because first I have to finish it, then I have to edit it, then I have to get somebody to fucking publish it. So that's gonna be.
I was gonna say,
I would love to give it a read.
Dan wasn't in Vietnam. He could probably do the editing for you.
Oh, I'm gonna send it to probably a couple of you guys to finish, but I want to actually finish it at least first, and then my other stuff is all like style and clothing related. So. That's my YouTube channel and my Instagram are all like style stuff. So
yeah, I'll have to get fashion tips from dude because all I wear is this frog hoodie. That's all I wear.
And the hat. Don't forget the hat, man.
Well, this is actually 2 hats. It's a hat with a beanie on top.
Oh shit! I didn't even know that.
Why?
Because I'm
so done.
I
want to go to bed.
You never see the beanies with like little bills on them?
I'm an old man who's drunk.
Let's let High Power go to sleep.
Pretty sure you're younger than me.
Yeah.
I probably am.
I think he's younger than me by like a year or 2.
Everyone have a good night and join us
All
next
right,
time
good
on the
night.
RWBY podcast where we will talk about something else RWBY related or maybe not. I don't know.
Who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah.
I would like to do a Naruto podcast or a My Hero Academia
We still
podcast.
gotta do the Batman one.
Yeah, we're supposed to do the Batman the animated series one.
I'm on the
that's
Naruto
right.
podcast.
Is it on Netflix? If it's on Netflix, then I'll
It's-
definitely
I don't
do
think
it.
I don't think it is.
I can tell you where to find it. There's a
Yeah,
website
I
I
can.
use that's
I
not
can
that
too.
weird. You can actually find it
alright.
easily.
I'm gonna cut the stream now. Everyone, have a good night.
Good day.